Nope, it's not. Okay, yes, we're playing Fire Emblem, Fuen no Tsurugi. Um, why is it showing the prep screen? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, not sure what's going on. Hello?
Hey, audio quality just dipped immensely, and you sound like you are speaking from far away through a cloth.
Um, I
Oh, and I'm hearing myself. Oh, I'm hearing the stream. Oh, because you're streaming to. Wait, hang on. That's so
yes,
funny.
you
Okay,
have to mute. You have to mute.
I did. I did. I don't get why Discord is like. I guess because you're streaming your whole application.
Hmm.
Discord makes no sense. You know what? Let's not worry about it. Hello, Red.
Yes. Hi, Red. How are
Um.
you? Oh, I can hear myself through you again.
hmm,
No, no, no. It's
is it also the stream?
no. I have no clue.
Hmm.
Because
Well,
that's
like I said,
muted. All
yeah,
right.
I'm
Well,
muted.
I no. Your stream is muted for me,
Oh,
so I don't hear myself through it like we did before.
right, right. Yeah, I meant if you were monitoring your stream, the Twitch stream.
Oh, the Twitch stream. Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. Well, I just meant if you could hear me through it, and then you'd be hearing
Yes.
double. But never mind. Um. Yeah. Well, let's should we just
Well,
get started then.
I have that. Well, no, I have the stream muted for that reason.
Yes.
Yes, so this is something that we did for Genealogy of the Holy War and then Thracia 776, which we did the one for Thracia right after we finished it. And obviously, we have not done any for any others. So these are character tier lists, and they are not performance based with respect to the unit's game performance. These are, with all understanding of inherent subjectivity and variability in opinion and such, our opinions on, well, for me, it's how strong I think their writing is, and as an extension of that, how interesting I think they are as characters. Now, this needs to be separated from how much I like them as a character. Because spoiler alert, for example, I love Gonzalez, but he's not going super super high.
Yeah.
But that I'm trying as much as I can to assess how strongly their writing reflects, I guess, maybe what they're trying to do in the story, like what role they play in the story.
Yeah.
Or
That's
the
totally fair. My methodology is actually a bit different. Mostly, it's both writing and also it is my personal bias. So there are definitely some. This is my tier list, Lamau. So there are some that I've rated higher, even though they're writing.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Hello? I think we've lost Emmett. Yes, his stream has died. Hmm. Very problematic. Yes, I am texting him now. I'm assuming his internet has perished. Well, hello everybody. I hope you're doing well today. Um, yes, no, Emmett died. I think you died because I'm still streaming. Otherwise, what? Chat is updating for me. Hmm. Can you all hear me? I mean, yes, yours did. Okay, your internet's fine. I'm gonna. let's do this differently. I'm going to end the call with Emmett. Try to call him back.
It is truly amazing that Discord cannot do the one job it's supposed to do.
Yes, and thank you for Red. I can tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to stream my tier list to you. They just minimize how much strain we're putting on the call. Just
I mean, I don't think that's an issue, but sure, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, no. So anyway, apologies.
You were talking about your methodology.
Discord truly just had a moment where it decided to restart itself.
Yes.
I don't get it. Anyway, I hope you can hear me all now. Hear me? Yeah, sure. I was just saying that I think subconsciously, performance impacts my thoughts on a unit at least a little. Not a ton. I'm pretty capable of separating that most of the time. Otherwise I'd put like Melody and easy top tier in her own tier, like at least 2 tiers away from everyone else. But I didn't. But I do think that just like as you play a game, how good or bad a unit is just colors that unit for you.
I would. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, just on like a subconscious level, and so I am aware of that. I've tried to let it affect this list as little as possible, but I'm just aware of that sort of fact that's outside of it.
I would say that it affects Fire Emblem and similar games much more strongly because in Fire Emblem, basically the amount of a character's writing you see if they are not the Lord is, or a like relevant, like a character that is present in cutscenes is directly what? Yeah, fucking.
I said Merlin is Lamau.
Is directly proportionate to how much you use them, because using a character, and especially using a character in combination with other characters, is what gets you supports and what gets you to see that character more. And thus, I think it's your point is true even in games with other systems. You tend to have a better view of the people that you use, and if you like using the strong ones, then that is reflected. But in Fire Emblem specifically, they literally gate writing behind using a character's gameplay. And so if you don't like a character's gameplay and thus you don't use them, or if you, then you're not going to get exposed to that as much. Now, for this, I did read every single Fire Emblem Binding Blade support in order to do what I thought was as fair an assessment as possible. But like, there are huge, like, one of my criticisms of Fates had to do with I didn't think the characters were still necessarily as interesting as some of the other games. I recognize that is a little unfair because I had a cast that I started with and basically used and didn't really use anyone else. Like, when I played Three Houses... And
that's normal, again.
Well, when I played Three Houses, I didn't use, like, infinite combat. I was on normal mode and then hard mode. I still used every single person in the army because I liked it and I liked them, and that meant I got a very comprehensive view of everyone.
But I mean, like, again, we didn't do that. Like, let's be clear, we didn't do that when we played FE6 the first time. Like, I don't think that's unusual to, like, make an army and stick with it. We switched units in FE6 more because you actually get a lot of really boring units early on and a lot of interesting and also just better gameplay units later. But, like, for example, we didn't use Fur. Like, we had Rucker online. We didn't kill him off. He didn't die. He didn't turn out bad. He doesn't really ever turn out bad. And so we just didn't really use Fur because having, like, one Swordlock unit is great in FE6, but, like, having two, Hero Crests are already non-existent. So, like, having a second Fur, like, just, it didn't make any sense. And I don't know her character. She's kind of interesting, but, like, yeah, we just didn't use her.
Yeah. So, with that said, I'm going to go first. So, the characters, I am organizing my list within each tier. Emmett is not, which is perfectly reasonable. So, for me, the more to the left in a tier character is, the better. Quote unquote. And then we are also going in...
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I didn't respond to your comment but it was relevant. You had mentioned reading every single support in the game. For this, I did not this time. However, I have in the past read all of them, I think. So I'm just not as up to speed on it. But like I said, for me, that's not 100% important. So I do have some of the knowledge. I'm just not as up to date on few.
That's fine.
As few.
And these are all our opinions, which is the beauty of subjectivity. The last thing I was going to say.
Right, so it's okay.
All right. Well, it was a good stream, everybody. Nice to see you all. Thank you for agreeing with my opinion.
Exactly.
I was going to say one other thing.
Order. You were talking about order within tier lists, like
Yeah,
that to the left.
It was
is
not
more
that.
impactful.
If I remember else. Oh yes, and this is in the thing that we are using. We're using a tool, a GitHub tool. That's just a Fire Emblem tier list maker. I'll send a link to the people who are in chat if they're curious.
Can you put it in like the description? I know you could for like YouTube. Is there like a description you can just put the link in on Twitch?
I don't see a
could
description.
Could be fun for people if anyone looks at this later. Could be fun.
I don't see a like space to put a.
I don't, like I said, I'm afraid both for work and for mostly watching other people, I typically only know the YouTube. Anyway, your video is demonetized now because Twitch does not like it when you mention its competitor or whatever.
But yes, the characters are in recruit order. So we're not going to be going from top of the list to bottom of the list. We're going from in the order that they join your roster or appear in the story. Well, join your roster. We're doing playable characters first, and then for those not very large number of non-playable characters that are included in this list, we are just doing them in the order they appear in the story. So I will go first.
I should also mention, I don't know if you ranked all the randos. I did not. I ranked a lot of very important ones, but I really did not feel the need to put Maggie and Rose somewhere on my tier list.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm happy to do so, but I'm also happy to not bother.
The only NPC non-playable characters that I included are the villains, Guinevere, and Eliwood and Hector.
Yeah, honestly, that tracks. I think that tracks about as well with what I did. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, should we just get started?
Yes. So we start with Roy. I'm putting Roy, who's our boy. Let me check where I put him before. Roy. I have Roy for me at the top of engaging. The story, I have a lot of criticisms about him as a unit, and I'm not going to go into that. But it is his story, and even though it is not a especially interesting one for a Fire Emblem Lord, it is very similar to Marth's, with kind of a little twist near the end about how he actually approaches fighting the actual big bad dragon.
And he has red hair.
It is a competently executed story of a young boy having to grow up in order to face the world and better other people in the process. He has some very interesting supports. A lot of them, I don't want to say they're duds, but they kind of lean too much on what we see with a lot of other supports, which are formulaic. Because this is the first game to actually have a support system in the modern sense that would become the staple for almost every other game. A lot of them are relatively simplistic. And so Roy does fall victim to that at times. I'm thinking a lot of his supports with... I
think his support with Lance, Alan, and Marcus are all functionally identical. And so they then just get repeated for Eliwood Marcus. Those four supports are almost functioning the same of Lord Foray, stay back, you can't fight. And he's like, no, but I must, Marcus.
They're very similar. There's slight twists, but very... So I'm putting Roy here. And it sounds like I'm being kind of hard on him because of that, despite putting him there, but I think his writing is competently done, more than competently done, for the role it's supposed to be.
Yeah, no, honestly, my take is actually really similar. First thing you will note about my tier list is I currently have 3 secret tiers.
Well, you're not showing that yet because...
That's okay, it'll take a second, but that's fine. They'll notice eventually. As you've noticed with some of my previous tier lists, I like to just make things fun. And so I want to just have some entertaining tiers. You might remember my trauma tier from Genealogy. I'm particularly proud of that one. And so these will be revealed to us later. But on Roy, I'm actually pretty much almost the same as Fume. I have him in good, which is honestly, if you ignore the funny joke tiers, basically the same. He's in the third tier from the top. Roy's fine. He's better than just okay. He's not like boring. He's not nothing, but he's also not amazing. Pretty much everything Fume touched upon, I more or less agree with. He definitely has some character development. He, thinks for himself and, has, as, the person with the most dialogue in the game, like, he has time to contradict his advisors and get to know Guinevere and talk with the villains. And, like, there's real character to Roy. It's just very generic, very shonen protagonist. And I think genuinely, I think this is something that later GBA games explore. And I think this is actually part of why there's 3 lords. So I think actually this is really interesting. I think that FE7 explored it by having 3 lords, right? So Eliwood, Ian, and Roy are remarkably similar. I think Eliwood, because he has such a close relationship with Lyn and Hector, actually gets to be a bit of his own person more. But really, FE7 has a very generic, very milquetoast lord in Eliwood, and then it has 2 very different extremes in Lyn and Hector. And I think what FE8 realized is that the extremes are actually just better, more, and interesting. So instead of having 3 or 2 with one that's sort of more generic, one not, FE8 then instead has 2 lords to maintain like this different spectrum, but they're both extremes just in different directions. And it works really well. Like, people love FE8, people love FE7. And unfortunately, Roy just kind of gets being saddled with just being not interesting, but not bad. And so
yeah, I would disagree slightly. I don't think the middle of the road option is necessarily the most boring, or generic is maybe not the term I would use. I think Eliwood doesn't stick out as much compared to Hector and Lyn, in part because he does not have as much time to be basically his own protagonist like Lyn does, or be so totally extreme like Hector is. But I don't dislike him.
No, I don't. I mean, that's what I said. I don't dislike Eliwood either. I actually think he's a lot better than Roy, because honestly, FE7 is one of my favorite Fire Emblems. Not just because it's the first one I played, but because, and this ties back into sort of FE6 and its story, is the story is deeply personal. It is one of the few, if not possibly the only Fire Emblem game where there's really not much at stake besides characters' personal goals. Like, the game starts off, I mean, Lyn mode is like specifically about Lyn trying to find her family.
I don't want to interrupt.
Then,
I would.
Yeah.
I do want to caution against going too much into this because of time.
I'm going to speed along. Like, it's that, and Eliwood mode is the same, right? The core original plot point of the game is Eliwood trying to find his dad. And I think that just really makes the characters, especially the lords, feel very feel strong. Whereas Roy doesn't quite have that. He his first immediate quest is like, I'll bring it back to Roy. Is let's go figure out what the main army against the bad, evil invading countries do. Like, Roy is thrust into like the super generic shonen or super generic action hero movie like thing right from the get-go. It really doesn't get a lot of time to like explore Roy and his motivations. It's no, we got to go fight the big bad. And that does hurt him, even though he has time to speak with like really, Roy doesn't become interesting until he gets to talk with like Guinevere and Merlinus, and until he's actually the one in charge. Like, so I would say like he doesn't really like up until the Western Isles. Roy is like a nothing character, and it only is like at the beginning of the mid game where Roy has to start actually trying to like do political intrigue that he gets at all interesting. Yeah, and so that definitely doesn't help him.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we can bounce back and forth. So, do you want to introduce the next one?
Oh, sure. If that's how you want to do it, absolutely. Next, we got my boy Marcus. I love Marcus. Jagans amuse me greatly. They're a lot of fun. I do think I like Marcus's FE7 version a bit more. I have agonized a bit about where to put Marcus, I'll be honest. I originally just had him in good here with Roy, but part of me kind of wants to move him up because I do really like Marcus, and he's a kind of character that you don't get a lot of. And just Fire Emblem in general, and that kind of uniqueness does make me like him more. That said, he's not really unique in the way that like other characters we'll get to later, like Yoder and Mime are. Because he is a Jagan, and Jagans are, an archetype that is in pretty much every game. So I'm definitely torn. But you know what? I am gonna put him in really good, just because for personal bias, I like Marcus. It's great, and I do love again playing FE7 first. You've got I just love the idea of like this one dude who just serves like 3 generations of Forayan lords, and is just like always on the battle. He's just always there. And I just love that. I love that for Marcus. I don't have any complex reasoning. I love this guy. He's funny.
Yes.
Also, he's purple.
Yes, he is a purple boy. Good color.
I'm interested where you put Marcus, because like I said, I don't remember his writing being compelling, and I am putting him very high for personal reasons. So I'm very curious to see where you put him.
Hold on. It looks like the chat's getting cut off a little bit.
I think is it?
It was on the stream.
I see. I see. Yeah. No, I have the stream up whenever I'm not looking at my own tier list.
Yeah, that's very fair. I did not have as positive an impression of Marcus, just because a lot of his... I think he has the Roy problem with the other knights, in that all of his supports are the same, in that I'm old, I'm going to die soon, or retire soon, I need you to get ready to take over. And that does hurt him a little bit. And then unlike, and this is just a product of him, being able to die, but unlike FE7, Blazing Blade Marcus, he doesn't get much chance to speak up within the story. And beyond... there's really no... It's a shame, because almost all of his supports, with the exception of like his one with Lilina, are just the note of I'm retiring soon, which is a shame. So I do still like him, and this is still probably biased, because if I'm being realistic, I should probably bring him down more than I am, but I did just put him in reasonably interesting. He's an old retainer who won't shut up about the fact that he's an old retainer, which would not bother me if he was able to talk about anything else, but he doesn't, so that's a shame.
Yeah, no, honestly, like I said, if you were rating purely based on writing, I'm not at all surprised that he's there. In fact, I'm actually surprised he's that high up. I would not have been surprised if he was a tier lower on your list. Like
honestly,
I said,
I'm gonna move him here.
Yeah. Like I said, the reason he's so high on mine is absolutely personal bias.
Yeah.
Like I think as a character, especially in FE6, yeah, he's just not that interesting. But that's okay. I'm not gonna hide my bias.
So next up we have Alan and Lance, but I'll just do Alan first. So Alan is the Kane Christmas Cav. He is the red, kind of more hot-blooded one, although that is a dynamic that would eventually get swapped a little bit and played with more. He's interesting because personality-wise, he's not actually that aggressive or brash or brusque, but there is a fair bit of talk put into his supports about how tactics-wise he is tactically what character-wise he is not, because he's actually still a relatively calm character. That being said, he still has most of his supports just talking about the fact that he won't stop charging into battle. But
I will say the Christmas Cav archetype is also as much about growth as it is about personality.
Yes.
They play a role and they go hand in hand. But it's actually the Christmas Cav dynamic is actually one of the most well-known archetypes, and also one of my favorites, because along with the Jagan, it's not just a gameplay. It's not only a gameplay, or the gameplay and the story are almost always the same with the two. Whereas edgy swordsman is kinda, but they're not all edgy, and so that one really sort of isn't as.
So that being said,
we are linked, which is great.
That being said, probably being a little biased, I will put Alan in reasonably interesting, because I think there's enough traction that's gotten from the contrast between his personality and how he acts on the battlefield. The problem is that it's still kind of the subject of basically all of his supports, but in this case, it doesn't bother me as much, because it's a unique dichotomy compared to Marcus's.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I actually do get to rank both of the Christmas Cavs because we're going into snake order. So yeah, I don't
They're
have much
fine.
to say. They're fine. Um, yeah, they're fine.
Okay.
I like Lance and Alan. They have a nice support. I like the Christmas Cavs a lot as archetype. They're not my least favorite of the Christmas Cavs. They're definitely not my most favorite. Kent and Sane are great, but honestly, it might be Oscar Kieran. Those two are actually just
They're
phenomenal.
very funny.
They're really good. Honestly, we might, once we play through the entire series, it could be fun to do like archetype lists. Those
I
are
agree.
also
That
fun.
would be fun.
That's jumping the gun a bit. And so
Yeah.
no, I mean Lance and Alan. Back to the point at hand. I really don't have much to say about them. Yeah, they're fine. Let's just leave it at that. They're totally fine.
Yeah, I will not spend too much time on Lance. I like Lance a little bit more. I like Lance a little bit more than Alan because he has some interesting supports with the likes of Clarine and
the support with Alan is interesting too.
With Clarine and Alan. I think he's a little more interesting, and I tend to find that character type of the calmer guy more interesting. But that's a little bit played with here because Alan is not particularly hot-headed either. So I'm putting him just above Alan and reasonably interesting. And again, could probably bring them down a tier because they are really more just fine. But I'm happy with that. So
no, that's totally fair. I do also think. No, I was just gonna say not about that. I was just gonna say I think we're probably gonna speed. We spent a lot of time on Roy, especially because like he is the main character. But I think we are, if you're worried, chat, I think we are gonna be able to speed through a lot of these.
Having read the supports, I do have a higher opinion of more of these characters than I thought, but I will not linger on them too much.
I mean, again, there's some that are really complex and we're talking about, and some that are
So Walt is. I'm just gonna jump the gun and say I'm probably like doing too much wishfulness about it, but it's just a shame that as a character who is literally raised next to Roy, the term they use is milk brother, which is accurate for the time that it's supposed to reflect, but they're blood sibling. They're like non-blood siblings. It's the same dynamic. It's the same situation that Joffrey, Alencia, and Lucia are in. Lucia. But it's just a shame that his supports don't really reflect that. Like all of his supports are just about either training archery or wanting to be closer to Roy, but Roy views him as a but basically either being into archery or his one with Roy, which has a lot of potential based upon the fact that they're literally like raised as brothers, is just him saying, "I want to be your friend and still your brother," and Roy being like, "I want to still be your friend and brother," and Walt being like, "No, you can't. We're vassals. I'm your vassal." And it's a little bit of a shame. I'm probably being a little too harsh.
I actually don't think you are. I honestly think you're right. I mean, I wish Walt was more interesting. The most interesting thing about Walt is that, as you said, milk brother. That means he and Roy have canonically sucked from the same teat. Anyway, Walt's going in.
Yes, Rebecca's.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay, fair. So Walt's going
possibly, but not necessarily. Anyway, Walt, he's fine.
Are you asking if this is Cain and Abel here or what Cain and Abel means? Please clarify.
I don't think we even mentioned Cain and Abel by name.
I did very briefly when I was introducing.
They're the original Christmas Cavs. Just let's answer both questions.
And the Christmas Cav is a recurring archetype character trope in Fire Emblem of early game Cavalier mounted class characters, usually a pair. Sometimes they play with that. One is usually green, one is usually red. Usually the red one is boisterous. Usually the green one is calm. Again, sometimes they play with that. Start like usually in either the first chapter or the prologue or very, very early.
Yeah. And the red one typically levels strength and defense, and the green one typically levels more like skill and speed.
Yes.
So again, it's not like they don't have growth in other stats.
Yes. All right. Boars.
Yeah, Boars. He is funny. Actually, honestly, Boars, I actually know he has some really good supports. And triangle attack. Actually, I had him in okay originally, but I'm going to move him to good because Armor Knight triangle attack alone, at a minimum, is just really funny, and I will count that for good. Like I know we're not taking into gameplay completely, but it is partially story because like there's a reason there's a triangle attack. So yeah, we'll put him in good. He's a funny guy. I mean that hair is it's
not inaccurate.
No, I know. He's got an absolutely sick sprite. Like a golden armor knight and golden general does look really cool. If you're wondering, I'm not talking about his personality. I do know some of his supports. I'm not sure how he and Wendy or Gwendolyn are related. I don't see the family resemblance at all. No, I know that. I don't see the family resemblance at all, the slightest. Just not one speck.
So, anyways,
yeah, he's fine. I know he has some good supports. Yeah.
I'm putting him in inoffensively fine. There's nothing annoying about him. His only really interesting support, in my opinion, is with either Barth or Lilina, and probably just the Lilina one. He's fine. Yeah. He doesn't have much else to him. I don't really want to linger too much. Let's move on to an elephant in the room.
Fair.
Merlinus. God damn it. Fucking Merlinus. So
I have a feeling this is going to be a really interesting rating for both of them.
So Merlinus is annoying, and I don't like him for reasons that are not really his fault. But I just feel like he is a character that can't die, and therefore must be Roy's not Greek chorus, like Roy's, like, lieutenant.
No,
lieutenant?
actually, I think what's probably accurate.
Yeah, he needs to be really, Roy's.
An exposition job. I think Greek chorus was actually hit the nail on the head. I think that's a great description.
He needs to be like Roy's conscience or counter conscience, whatever you want to like advisor, whatever you want to call it. Yes, basically. Which is a shame because I don't think he's a particularly interesting character for that, and I think he takes time from other characters who might have been more interesting for that. And sorry?
I said, or just should have been Guinevere. Like, it is her for like half the game anyway. Make it more Guinevere.
But for the role that he is supposed to play, he does the job good enough. Me wishing it was somebody else or that there were more chances for other characters to do it does not take away the fact that he executes on his responsibility well, so he goes in inoffensively fine. Your turn.
Hang on. Yeah, no, I'm just responding to Red. I'll just say it out loud then instead of telling me. It's not necessarily. It is partially miscast. Also, just unfortunately, the nature of. Hang on, I need to go see if my cat is doing something it shouldn't. 1 second. Pardon.
Guy.
Oh, wait. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So Ellie wouldn't hack versus Tether, but Lynn doesn't. Lynn is an absolute nightmare who...
God, I've talked about this with you all.
Yeah, I'll do a quick summary. Lynn's
no, please don't.
It will be very fast. It's both amazing and ridiculous. Basically, it's amazing because it is very good to have a new character, because it was the first game released in the West. It's great to have a new character that doesn't alienate people who have no idea who Hector and Ellie are. That's why she exists. It's great. Unfortunately, it introduces a lot of complicated questions, such as like, no, seriously, what is the relation to FE6? That the game can't really answer and just doesn't answer. And
it can't answer because FE6 is already released.
Right, exactly. Right. Well, and also because it can't tie her to a canonical pairing. Yes. So yeah, basically, yes, it's a plot hole, but there is a pretty clear reason why they did it, and that's all I'll say about it.
So, anyways, give me your Merlinus.
So Merlinus, he exists. As I was saying about the casting versus miscasting, it's not really that he's just miscast. It's just the way the game was designed and created, and the limitations of a Fire Emblem with very low supporting cast of characters is that you just don't. There is one immortal guy, and that's the only, like, Roy can't be talking to a boneyard, so that's kind of it. Your options are either Roy is going to be hallucinating people, or he's going to be talking to the one other immortal character, and that's Merlinus. Games in the future do get better about this, about having units retreat or not die. Some die. I mean, it's a can of worms. We're not getting. We've talked about it before. Please, he's inoffensive. He's inoffensive enough. I like more in FE7. He's funnier there. He still has some funny lines in FE6, but yeah, he just exists.
All right,
this guy.
Nice.
Ellen. Speaking of which, characters who exist, bam. Yeah, she exists. Ellen is really just here is your cleric archetype. You will enjoy it. And yeah, she is a lovely cleric who has a fairly generic sprite and a fairly generic personality, and she heals things. And her most interesting trait is being the confidant of Guinevere, which
Doesn't
really come up much at all. So yeah, she exists.
I actually have Ellen up a fair bit higher, if only because she actually has some really interesting supports with Melody and either Chad. The other thing is she has the funniest fucking support line with Saul. I sent it to Alt yesterday. It's so fucking funny. That
makes
so
a
good.
lot of sense, actually.
Like, there's the A support is basically her telling him, I thought you were just a philanderer and like, a selfish, womanizer, but now I see the truth. And Saul's like, oh, what do you see? And he's like, you exist to show that the Church of Saint Elamine can take in anybody, no matter how boorish, no matter how brash, no matter how low they are. And, you are performing a truly selfless act by being such a terrible person while openly preaching as a priest. And then Saul was just like, yes, I see. Thank you? It's so fucking good. It's so... Because of that and her reasonably interesting support with Melody and Chad, she's going into reasonably interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. This is another one that kind of got said of this, like, units that aren't great or amazing, you just don't use. And so, like, Ellen joins you in chapter 1, because the first one is prologue. And then in chapter 4, so barely 3 chapters later, you get a unit that does what she does. Well, no, in chapter 4, he joins chapter 5. In chapter 4, you get Clarine, who's a unit that does what she does, but has a horse, which is just so much better.
Which means,
like, yes, you could also deploy Ellen, and you probably will at some point, but it's just like, yeah, you aren't going to necessarily use Ellen all that much.
And it's a challenge that clerics in the series tend to encounter.
This is true too.
So, because it turns out that if you have somebody that can do what somebody else can, but they have a horse or a Pegasus or Wyvern,
or it's FE10 and you just have, or it's FE10, you don't ever need a healer ever because you just have concoctions up the wazoo and they heal like 40 HP.
Yeah, that too. But like basically, if there is a unit and a unit that has a mount that is otherwise the same or sometimes even otherwise slightly worse than the unit that doesn't have a mount, almost every time the mounted unit is going to be the better. Because being able to move 2 or 3 extra squares, whatever, is so important.
Yeah. Reminder that move is a stat.
Yes. If FE10 is Radiant Dawn. All right, so next up we have Deke, the Dick, the Big Dick. He's actually really cool and really interesting. He has some really good supports with the rest of his squad. Well, the rest of the squad is okay, but his support with Rucker is great. I put him in impactful. I think he's very well done. He's very interesting. His support with Deke, Clarine, Deke support with Rucker, Clarine, and Klein are all very interesting.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was going to say, I actually have him again in here, so you have him second from the top. I have him as well, also in really good. I like Deke a lot. Super interesting. I love his connection with the Regley family. That's Klein and Clarine. Also, Pent and Luis, who become much bigger characters in FE7 when they're playable. But they do actually have a pretty significant presence in FE6. So they're never,
even though they never show up.
Yeah, well, they never show up, but like Klein and Clarine both mention them. Deke talks about them. Even Cecilia mentions Pent.
Percival and Cecilia, and Percival, and Cecilia, and presumably Douglas all know them, although only the first 2 mention.
Right. Well, I was going to say this is like Cecilia mentions him directly. Talks about how she got the job essentially.
Yeah.
That she was. I think she was directly recommended by him. So Anyways, I just love the connection to the family because it has like such an impact. And of course, I love Pet and Luis. Cute couple. So it's just and again, his support with Clarine is really good. So yeah, I like this guy. He's great.
Yeah. All right. Next up is
These are another 2. Are we going snake? Should I do them or do you want to?
You do way. Ward, I'll do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could easily do both because they exist. I don't.
Do you want to do both?
I know they have. I mean, sure. I
do
can
both.
You exist. Like I know so they are different actually. Let's be clear. Even though I'm putting both of them in the same tier, they are definitely very distinct, very different characters. I just feel nothing for either of them personally. It's being a little harsh. Truly, this is also partially gameplay, like I talked about earlier. Like Ellen, where useless. I personally see her as very bland. These characters are essentially unusable. I mean, oh my god, trying to hit with an axe in the early game of FE6 is just
yeah.
So it's and I don't love them enough to want to keep using them despite that. And we'll get to some characters like that later. But for now, there's just
Ward is going right to the lowest tier for me. Not that interesting. And there's a spoiler.
You
there's
can
only
go for 3, by the way. If you want to go for 3, go ahead. Because
there's only one other character in that tier for me.
Damn.
But Ward is just a very generic, kind of meat-headed, but kind-hearted, axe mercenary, and there's really nothing else to him. I looked at all of his supports. There's not much bogging ground in that noggin. Lot is a lot more interesting. He has some really good supports with Lance and with Echidna that I think make him a fair bit more interesting than Ward, and a fair bit more interesting than a lot of early game axe bros. And so I'm quite happy to put him. Where did I have him? I'm quite happy to put him in reasonably interesting as well. I actually am going to put him above Ellen, but below Lance and Alan, because his support with Lance is actually really interesting. They play chess, among other things, but there's actually some fun stuff happening. I do appreciate that there is a lot more introspection in a character of this type than they otherwise let them get. So I like that. Next we have Sean.
Honestly, I think it's funny because they kind of remind me in that respect of like Bartray and Dorcas, who of course came the next game, where Bartray is a meathead and he's dumb as bricks, and honestly, pretty much every single one of his supports are kind of like that. Whereas Dorcas is significantly more thoughtful and emotional and has some interesting supports.
Which is very funny given some stuff that we get, given that Bartray is in this game and generally a much more interesting character in this game.
I mean, he's more interesting, but he's also still dumb as shit. Like, let's be clear. He has great support, but he's also still an idiot.
Yes. Anyway, so next up we have Shauna. Shauna is fine. She's the youngest of the Pegasus Knights, and spoiler alert, she is my personal favorite personality-wise, if only because the other two are not as much entities. She's naughty and spunky and it's fun. I still don't think there's much there that's of interest to me, but she is reasonably interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Juno's probably my favorite just because, again, it's something we don't get to see a lot, which is like, here's a mature woman who's married in a relationship, which is great. We'll get to that later. Let's see, where on earth did I put Sean? Yeah, that makes sense. She's joining Wolt in the okay list of she's fine. I don't. She's kind of here for the same reason that like Wolt is here. I don't really good or bad to say. She just, but she doesn't quite only exist. As a unit, she's also really great. But as a character, she's just okay. So let's move on to Chad. Chad is someone I originally had in okay. I'm actually rethinking that. I think he's a pretty good character. I don't personally have strong feelings towards him, but he has some interesting points. Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave him in okay, purely for my own personal biases. I know Chad actually has got a little bit of all the kids actually. So Chad, Lou, and Ray all actually are pretty interesting and think about the world in very interesting ways and have an interesting motivation and tie-in with the war based on the orphanage that they were in. But personally, it just doesn't do it for me. I don't find him very interesting or compelling. And I find him definitely the least interesting of the thieves. And Kath's a pain to deploy, so I'm never deploying her, but like I do prefer her. And Astolfo goes without saying. We'll get to that. Yeah. He's okay.
So I'm not sure what you mean. Like there are characters that just don't get used because of the chapter in which they join, or because the chapters in which they join are just like so unreasonable to try to train them. But like you can use every, like there's nothing telling you that you can't.
Yeah, it's just situational. It's FE6 especially does this where it gives you a lot of replacement or filler characters a lot more than many other games. And so realistically, like you get 3. So using the example of Chad, so I brought him up, you get 3 thieves. 2 of them join pre-chapter 10. One of them, the earliest you can get them is like chapter, I don't know, 17 or something vague like that. It's not exact, but you get the point. There's just a massive gap. So like there's really no reason to deploy them. Their stats are near identical. Yes, Ult, you can't see my list. Scroll up because I mentioned why earlier, but it's an issue with Discord. Yeah, like of the thieves, one of them just has better stats. The other 2 aren't great. You're only using them for utility. So really, unless like one of them died or both of them died, there's just not much of a reason to deploy the third one.
And that now this is not true throughout. There are examples of characters that join later who are actually superior on average or overall than characters that join earlier, and we'll get to them. But with okay, can we move on to?
Yeah, I was just going to say the answer to ult to your question is actually pretty basis. The short answer though is no. You can deploy any unit whenever you want. What I mean by that is as a personal decision, not a unit I want to deploy.
I will say I have not played FE6 multiple times. The only game I've played multiple times, the only Fire Emblem game, is Three Houses and Three Hopes. So next up, we have for Chad. I put him up a little bit higher because I very much enjoyed some of the supports with Melody and the other kids, and I think that I actually think he is the most interesting of the 3 children. But maybe I might be putting one conversation, his one with Ellen, a little too high. So I did put him in engaging. Probably kind of in the mid end. I'll get to that when I get to that. Next is Lou, one of the, speaking of the kids, the orphans. He's great. I like him. He doesn't really fall into the trap of all my sports are about, I want to become stronger. And I want to, grow magic. And so that's kind of a bit of a relief. But even if they were, he does have a few conversations with the likes of Melody. His Melody. What?
I said, here's a baked tart. I think he has 3 conversations that revolve around that.
Yes, he does, which is, it's a little silly, but it's mostly just used as an introduction rather than the substance. I
just mention it because it's funny.
I like his supports a fair bit. His support with the Melody and Ray especially. So I put him in engaging. I think I'll put him either right above or right below Chad.
Yeah. Let's see. Lou. Well, yeah, that tracks. Yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier. I actually, I don't disagree with anything Fume said, by the way, and I touched on it when I mentioned Chad. I actually think he's a more interesting character than where I put him. This one's very vibes-based. Lou's kind of the same. I do think he's an interesting character. The banana mage simply does not do it for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Though the fact that his sprite looks like a banana is very funny, I will not be awarding him more points for it. He is simply...
I am very... Oh, okay, I wanted to... No, you go first. It will be funnier if you go first. Go first.
I mean, despite what you might think, I like Clarine. I think she's a good character. I'm putting her in good. I want to be sparing with really good. I didn't. There's actually a lot of characters in there. And I like Clarine a lot. Some really good supports. She really matures a lot through the supports with some real character growth. Maybe I should put her higher, honestly.
You're not really given a good reason to not do so.
I'll put her in really good. I think it was more just personally, I have mixed feelings about her archetype. I don't really love the direction Clarine goes with it. That's kind of in between, where I really like her supports and I like what they've done with it, but I'm not sure if it redeems it enough. So actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go with my gut feeling and put her in good. This might be a little unfair, might be a little, but mostly because I've seen like that kind of bratty archetype just done better. For example, Sarah, I actually just like more as a character,
Yes,
and a lot of that has to do with not just supports but subtext. Whereas Clarine, I think she has amazing supports. If I had somewhere in between good and really good, this is, by the way, doesn't count. We'll get to that. I'd put her there because I like her more than all these characters, but I like her a lot less than these two. Actually, wait, hang on. I think I can fix it. It's just above. We're just gonna call this. This just gonna be Clarine, and it's just gonna be, what color is it gonna be? Sure, that one's not in use yet. Yeah, there we go. Okay, problem solved.
Fair.
Just gonna fix that really quickly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't want to go into this too long. I really like Clarine. That being said, I do know that her writing kind of, falls on a couple of tropes with a few supports.
I have to fix my tier list. BS. Hang on. No, keep talking. I'll fix this while you.
Okay. I really like her a lot. I think she has really good supports with Deke. Very funny one with Rucker. Really, it's a kind of a cute, sweet one with Dorothy. That being said, I'm trying to separate that from, the writing, but I also think that they're mostly in line. So I actually kind of have her at the upper end of engaging. I'll put her right below.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think her supports are phenomenal.
Rucker, for a man of few words, goddamn, does he leave quite an impression, both gameplay-wise and, as a character. His support, almost all of his supports are really interesting, even though he doesn't usually talk very much in them, which I enjoy a great deal. Not that he doesn't talk, just that all of them are interesting. And then obviously, his mechanical performance does bias me a little bit. He is basically the reason why you are able to finish the second half of the early game. And will continue to be relevant for afterwards. I put Rucker, but I want to emphasize that that's not why I'm putting him at where I am. He is, all of his supports are really cool. They're really interesting. So I put him in the second highest tier for me, right above Deke.
And they have a support.
Yes, and they do have a support. And it's a good one.
Yeah. No, Rucker. Where did he... Okay, here we go. Rucker, yeah. He's really good. I like this character a lot. He's great. I don't really have much more to add on to what Fume said. He just... Yeah, it's a good character.
All right. Next.
Good unit. I believe it's...
Wait, I didn't mean to interrupt. Were you done?
No, I am done. And it is this... And, oh yeah, that makes sense. I put him in You Exist originally. Honestly, his writing is a lot better than that. I just don't care about Saul at all. I don't care about his philandering ass. I do not care about this man. Thus, I am putting him in Exist, and I know Fume is going to put him a lot higher, and that's okay.
Yes. God, Saul is so fucking funny, both intentionally and otherwise. I love him so much. He actually also is one of the first characters we're encountering who actually does have a role in the story. He is supposed to be. He has a few more lines connected to the Fire Emblem and to guiding Roy towards it. So he actually is relevant. I think he does actually, before a certain point in the story, retreat rather than just get murked if he dies. I was
going to say, he also, I believe, has an explicit connection to Yoder. Yes. Yoder actually touched base with him.
Well, that and, Yoder is, is one of the upper priests in the St. Adeline Church. And
right, no, that's what I'm saying, though, is that they actually wrote that into the game. They didn't just, have these two people from the clergy not talk.
Yes, but they don't just talk in their supports. They talk outside.
Right.
So, that's what I put Saul in engaging underneath Roy, probably still above 30.
Really?
No,
I'm surprised by that.
I'll put him right.
Like not just, I was gonna say not just personal bias aside, I actually do think Green, because I think what it does it for me. I mean, again, take this is your tier list. You should do what you want. I think the reason I would put Clean above Saul is that as funny as he is and as good as the writing is, I think Clean actually undergoes character growth in her sports, and Saul does not. Like they're just funny.
That's
Whereas
true.
Clean like genuinely has to adapt and change her worldview on things, and that's what makes it good.
Yes. Okay. You know what? That's fair. I will. I still like him a little bit more than Lou and I like him a little bit more. No.
I have absolutely nothing to say about Lou and Chad. I was talking about Clarine specifically.
All right, cool. So Saul's done.
Look, I did an entire unique tier for her. Like I gotta at least pretend to rep her.
Yeah. All right. Next we have Dorothy. She's fine. She's like Beta Leone. In that she is,
I guess kind of
archer lady, and if she could, she probably wields spear too. Who is like extreme tomboy. There's
I was
not
going to disagree
really
with you,
much.
but then I thought about it harder. I was like, no, he's kind of got a.
So there's nothing really. There's not that much to her. I will put her above Merlinus despite Merlinus, but no, I can't do that. It's okay. There she goes. Dorothy, yeah.
Yeah, so you may be sensing a trend here. But yeah, Dorothy, she, excuse me.
Exists.
She exists. She sure does.
All right,
there you go.
Also, this one is, I will say, Binding Blade has a lot of playable characters. Like, it is one of the highest, like, largest casts in the game because they expect you to let a lot of people die, and so...
Oh, I don't look forward to doing this for Arcanea. Although maybe, honestly, it's probably fine because we're going to skip, like, so many of the Like, do we have to rank Robert? Yeah, but, like, are we going to spend more than 30 seconds on it? No.
Yeah. Anyway, so... Yeah, so this one is going to be a little long. I mean, maybe there's a chance we continue it tomorrow, but it's...
I do think we'll be able to speed through some.
Yeah. So, not like Dorothy, we're done with it.
Yeah, well, we are done with it. So, honestly, this character is actually good. Like, there's actually a lot to say about this character. I'm not going to, though. And I think that's part of why we can speed it along. I like Sue. I think she's a great character. She's got a lot to her. Again... No, actually, I'll move her up to good. I think she's good. She's got a lot going on, ties the story well with Sakei, and it's interesting. And the Katola clan, of which she is the daughter of granddaughter
of Diane.
Has always, granddaughter of the Clan Chief, has always been just actually a very interesting clan. You can see from the way they were like to Wrath when he was like 40, like, bye, you're on your own, have fun. But I don't feel strongly for her, and so she is going to remain only.
Yeah. I'm in a very similar boat. She has some fun supports. Her supports with Sin, with Roy, and her support with Sin and Roy and Diane are very interesting. Diane's especially. She actually has a relatively...
The controller interesting.
She has a relatively interesting support with Wolt. So, but yeah, she's okay. She's in reasonably interesting. I'm putting her probably above. I'll put her above Shauna. All right, next, Zealot. Zealot's actually really cool. He's got some fun supports with his squad. Well, except Ward and Trek, and but he's actually kind of cool. I like it. I think he represents what I kind of maybe wish Marcus was a little bit more, but which is funny given that that's kind of what Zealot is mechanically. I put him in like the back half.
I'm just waiting to see where you put him exactly.
Yeah, back half of Engage.
That's interesting. That is I'll tell you right now. That's put him because originally he was in the same tier as Marcus, but now he's not because I moved Marcus up.
You're cutting out. I can't hear you. Did you die? Nope, he's dead. No. Hello? I can't hear you. Hello? Oh, fuck. Oof. It's possible we may be ending this early. Oof. Well, we'll be able to start earlier tomorrow, so easy. Um.
Yeah, so I'm content. It was doing that thing where it does like the RTC connecting and then just doesn't connect, and so I just have to restart Discord. I don't know why. Um, yeah, I, yeah, great system, truly fantastic.
Yep. Wonderful. Well, you cut out, but I'm guessing Zealot is just good, and that's fine. Can we
Yeah,
move
no,
on?
he's yeah, we can. He's there. I just said like I like him. He's a married man. I love him as I think a lot of why I like him has to do with unit feel. Because it's interesting to me to have a unit that's like good but can't just juggernaut everything, and you actually have to think a little about like, wait, how do I want to use this unit? But none of that is his character, and as such, we will not be counting it in this tier list. So let's move on to Trek. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. That's it. Moving on.
That's it.
You can go now. Like I don't.
Yeah,
That's it.
Trek is my other not interesting character. Literally every single one of the supports is I am sleepy or I cannot remember your name. That is it. Those are his only two character traits.
It's a mood though, the sleepy bit. But like, yeah,
I mean,
no,
yes,
really
but
guy.
but mood does not make right. Noah.
Yeah, no, there's really
All
nothing
right,
much.
next up is Noah. Noah has like Noah doesn't really have any interesting supports, but he doesn't have any like annoying character traits, and so he's just generically uninteresting. So I have him in inoffensively fine. You know what? Fine. No, I have him in inoffensively fine, but at the low end, he just doesn't do much.
Yeah. No, hit Noah. Yeah, no, Noah is he's fine. He's okay.
Oh
Moving on.
boy, now we're getting to the fucking goal. Yeah, baby.
Really,
Hey,
really
you wanna be here for this?
Yeah, no, this character though is really good. This man is genuinely extremely interesting. Definitely something you also don't see a lot of in Fire Emblem, which is part of what makes it good. People did hate it when Gilbert did it, though, but he is an absentee father.
The difference. The difference is that Gilbert's kids are alive. Child is alive. I am a lot nicer to Gilbert.
And his child will be alive and will grow up without a father because he explicitly tells his wife, "Nope, my loyalty is here and I'm not going anywhere." Anyway, he's a great character, great supports, really interesting, and something you don't see often. So really good.
Yeah.
Now if you want to go for it, yeah.
Astolfo is so fucking good. Astolfo is going to be my first like S tier equivalent. He's so fucking
okay.
good.
Interesting.
I think I actually have him at the top of S tier because I think his support, every single one of his supports is interesting in different ways. But his support with Irene is so fucking heartbreaking. It's so sad and it's so well done. It's so good. And but also like his support with Lina is interesting. I like even Barth, even his support with fucking Barth is interesting because they're talking about like the ethics of trying to flush out spies in the army. It's like he's so fucking good, and I feel like he feels a lot like, and but he's damaged, but not like emotionally and physically, but in a way that makes him more interesting rather than makes him like edgy or a gameplay excuse for something. And yes,
this man is not edgy at all.
no, yeah, like he's got. I don't mean to be like sad is good, but like he has so much pain that is so interestingly drawn upon that I can't help but love him so much. So he's actually in my top tier. He's so fucking good.
Yeah. Honestly, I could consider putting him up there because he is a really good character, but I think I'm going to leave him where he is for now. But he is, 100% agree, really good character.
Yeah. Next we have Lilina, who I also really like. You might expect me to put her in Hatch Potential, but it's not really used because of the whole, given how important she is to the story, she should really be like a Merlinus type, but that's a whole other conversation. But I'm trying to step away from that and trying to accept what she is, which is a character that, while important to the story, is not allowed to be that important to the story, like in terms of speaking out. But for what she is and what her supports are and the role that she plays and the connection she has to Roy, I enjoy her a lot. I am putting her in my second highest tier because I do think that she also has a lot of really good supports. She has, including with the fucking Armor Knights, again, somehow. But I think that if I was being a little more critical, I would probably put her one below, just because it is actually the fact that she isn't as important in the story as she should be is actually a problem. Like, one could make the argument that her writing should be in service to that, given what she is written to be, but it's not. And so for the text that we have on the screen, it's good. It's very good.
Now, you see, I'm going to disagree, and it's actually not because of her supports. It's because of her recruit conversations. Bam, S tier. I like Lilina a lot, and I think my favorite part of her is actually her recruit conversations. So she recruits the Brigand Bros. She recruits Garrett and Gonzalez. She actually has a really great support with Gonzalez, too. And that's what I like about Lilina a lot. Like, that's kind of why she's my favorite character, is just like Lilina the Bandit Whisperer. First of all, it's just really funny to imagine Lilina staring down Garrett, who's probably like 6 foot something, and she's like tiny. That is a very funny mental image. But second of all, like, she's just, it's just a really wholesome character. Like, it's wholesome, it's adorable, it's great. Her pairing with Roy is super sweet. I love all of it, and I just really like Lilina, and for that, she gets to go in S tier.
And yes, she is, and mechanically she is very good. Yes, she can struggle with speed sometimes, but
you can have as many different Lilinas as you have different gameplays. Like, she's very growth dependent, and that can be really challenging.
Yes, I had a very speed blessed Lilina, which probably is skewing my perspective.
Yeah, it definitely does. I've had less good Lilinas, and I have played, so to your question, I have played the game multiple times. And I often use different units depending on what I feel like. But Lilina, because of how much I like her as a character, I pretty much always use her. And so I've had very different Lilinas. I've had some Lilinas that are really good, and they just have the speed to double and kill everything. And I've had some that are just better at chip or finishing off an enemy. It is what it is. Leafy, stop being weird. Hey. Well, anyway, let's move on to the next character while my cat just does weird things. It's an Armor Knight. It's Wendy. They're okay. I actually kind of want to just move them to They Exist. I feel like I was pasty putting... No, I'm going to leave Boars there. It's kind of funny, actually. Gwendolyn exists. She has a triangle attack. It's funny, but, like, I already gave points for Boars for that. And, yeah, anyway, moving on.
Sorry.
No, it's
Gwendolyn. Yeah, she's Gwendolyn, Wendy. She's fine. She doesn't really have any interesting supports, but she's, not causing any problems. So I'm just putting her in inoffensively fine, I guess, right below her
as a
brother.
unit, she is
Oh,
bad.
as a unit, she is.
Her stats. She joins at a really awkward time when you're about to fight a bunch of axe units. She joins as a lance unit. She is going to get doubled by everything because she's a level 1 armor knight. She also has no defense. And she is basically irredeemable, except she has triangle attack, which is I actually wouldn't say she's second worst in the gameplay because I think triangle attack redeems too much.
That's fair.
It's very well. So here's the thing: it's very finicky. It means you have to deploy 2 other armor knights, which is bad. But it is a guaranteed hit and a guaranteed critical hit, which means training her is extremely easy. So no matter how bad she is, she's easier to train than
is she the one who gets the? Oh no, wait. The one who gets the experience is the one who initiates the attack, right?
Yes, because the others don't even attack; they can just sit there.
Yes.
She's definitely terrible. Don't get me wrong. I just think she's better than say Wade or Lot if you really want to train her. There's also a couple units who join later who are just not great. But she's bottom 5 probably. Yeah.
Barth is he's okay. All of his supports, with the exception of his Lilina and Astolfo supports, are just him being a hard ass trainer. So there's not really much there. I will put him just below Dorothy, but above. Oh god, I really want to put the armor knights together, but I can't. Yeah, he's fine. He's not even fine. He's just he's not that interesting. But I put him above the others because they really just don't have anything. And I think that Barth, at the very least, has 2 interesting conversations. So you know what? He has 2 interesting conversations, and that's more than Wendy has. So here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the funny thing about Barth is that he is, in terms of gameplay, I actually think he is genuinely, he's he's both the best and the worst armor knight. I actually think he's the worst armor knight while we're speaking of gameplay, mostly because his stats, so Bors and Gwendolyn actually have decent growths. So I've done an armor knight playthrough. I used all 3 of them just because I thought it was funny, and it was in fact really funny. And Gwendolyn and Bors became pretty good units, honestly. Just even standalone, once they got XP to snowball and get going, they were fine. Barth really doesn't have enough speed for that, whereas Bors actually has the highest growth. Bors's growth is higher than Gwendolyn's. Barth's is dog shit, and so he's basically a really boring, really typical armor knight, and therefore the worst. As far as characters on this tier list go, hang on, I'm double checking. Yeah, that's exactly what I expected. Yeah, he exists. Great, moving on. Now, this boy, I have him in okay. I feel like he has some good supports, though, so I'm actually going to move him up to good. I don't remember them, but I'm actually pretty sure he has good supports. And because I'm pretty sure of that, I'm very confident in that fact, I'm putting him in good. I also like his class, but again, hero crests are non-existent, and it's just really hard not to use Deke or Rutger, or both, and therefore the poor man will never see the light of day.
Yes, thank you, Free Armor
He
Slayer.
did it my first playthrough, though, because my first playthrough, I liked the hero class so much. I actually used Deke, and then I used OJ, or Ogier. Ogier is the correct one. Ogier, and then I used Echidna, and I was just I fucking love the hero class in GBA games. The sprite is sick. So unrelated, but there you go.
Oh, I see. Yes. I made a mistake. Yes, I hear you. Unfortunately, I have to disagree. He has 1 support with Lynn. His support conversations with Lynn. With Lina, sorry. That is reasonably interesting, and pretty much all the rest are just trade. So I can't agree, unfortunately.
Maybe that's why I put him in okay originally. It's okay. I'll move him back down to okay. I don't mind.
No,
I
don't
just, like I
worry.
said, I kind of forgot. It was because of the Lilith support, which is the only one I remembered, but it's probably because there was a reason that's the only one I remembered.
Yeah, he's okay. I'm putting him above Gwendolyn. You know what? Oh no, good. Dorothy actually has some funny supports, so I'm doing a little swap.
Also, I did move him. I did decide to move him back to good, mostly because I looked at the other units in the OK tier, and I was like, yeah, I like him more than them, and that's enough.
Yeah, that's oh dear. All right, next we have Fur.
The Great Dane.
Fur's actually really interesting. She had some really good supports with a lot of the more martial characters, Rucker, her Uncle Corell, that kind of thing. I wish she was better, or at the very least that Rucker didn't make her almost completely obsolete. But yeah, she's fine. I like her. I think, well, not fine. She's interesting. I think that she is well done for what she's supposed to do, and so she goes below. I'll put her below Chad in engaging.
Yeah, I've realized I actually need another tier. So I'm doing some strategic reorganizing. It's not
I
changing
had just
a lot,
noticed.
but I've realized, yeah. So as funny as the Clarine tier was, it was not meant to be one of the joke tiers. And I also just realized that, like, looking at the characters where I have them, really just did not work that I want to. I think Sue probably can move up. Zealot and No Gear, not so much. And I realized that in part because Fur is actually going to go in this tier too, where I was like, I don't think she is in my really good tier. I don't like her enough for that. But I was like, do I like her more than, like, the Christmas Calves? Do I think she's a more complex and interesting character? And I was like, yes. Yes, I do. And thus, we have reorganized our tier list. And it's going to look like this for now. And moving on, we have... Where did I put this guy anyway, honestly? Not that this is... Yeah, that makes sense. Shin, he exists. I could put him in okay. I know he has, like, some interesting supports with does he with Sue? Probably more with Diane.
Diane mostly, Sue a little
Yeah.
bit. He has a funny one with Zeus. His support with Zeus is actually interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, I just mostly, like, with, like, characters like Saul that are down here, where, like, Saul actually I think does have some sauce. I just personally don't jive with it. Yeah, he exists.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm kind of in a similar boat. I will say I have a draft of how I was organizing these before I started talking to you, and some of
same.
these characters have moved around. So,
yeah, no, same. As you can, I mean, I think I've mentioned it and alluded to it, where I'm like, I had him here, but I'm moving him here, or I have to create another tier. That's changing from my original plan.
Yeah.
So
same.
same.
I will put Shinsen. I'll put him at, like, the top of inoffensive. I'll put him at the bottom of reasonably interesting. He has, like, 3 interesting supports with Sue, with Diane, and with Zeus, and that's kind of it, which is fine. It's more than some characters get. I'll put him above Ellen, actually.
We also forgot to mention that Fur is really stupid.
Yes, Fur is very stupid. It's very funny.
She inherited from her father. Because
arguably from her mother, too.
Yeah, but in a different way. Because a guy who couldn't more obviously be a bandit was like, nah, but I'm actually not a bandit. She's like, I believe you wholeheartedly with my every fiber of my being. So really dumb. I like her though.
Gonzalez, my son, my incredibly stupid, actually probably developmentally disabled son. I love him. Unfortunately, he is kind of just one joke told over and over again. What if stupid but friendly, ugly but kind, gentle giant, but also capable of incredible violence? It's a shame because none of his supports ever really go beyond that, but
yeah,
I like him. I like him, but if I'm trying to be reasonable, I can't put him. Well, how have you heard it pronounced? Alt.
Fear, maybe.
I mean, that's fair. I can't have put him, like, anywhere above, like, the low end of reasonably interesting. And this is probably me being overly generous to him.
Yeah, see, I don't have to worry about some weakness or constraints put upon me, thus he's going in really good. Because playable brigands are really rare, and that's amazing on its own. I like him a lot. Like, he's a unique kind of guy. Like, is, again, I put Lolita in S because of her recruit conversations. One of them with Gonzalez. I find his act of ripping trees out of the ground to be very endearing. I love how he can stand on a mountain peak and kill everything. It pleases me greatly. And yes, I said I wasn't going to do a lot of this for gameplay. And to be honest, that's actually not why he's here. It's more just the character story integration, again, of like him being a bandit and how he is, and it just amuses me greatly. I like Gonzalez, and so here he goes. Part of it is gameplay. A lot of it is not. A lot of it's both. Let's not worry about it too much.
Geese, the Gooster, the guy who you're trying to make good in your randomizer.
I am?
Yes, you used Geese quite a while.
Oh, the at randomizer. Sorry, I have like 2 different randomizers going. Yes, Goose. My friend Goose is going in good. Originally, he was in the same tier as like Alan and everyone else. But those tiers have now stratified. And so some characters that were in above average or good previously will be in this upper one, and some will be in this lower one. And he's good. He's interesting. Son of a merchant family, going a different way after, well, that's his brother. But yeah, so, well, that's actually really interesting. Geese has an older brother named Geets, who does not exist in FE6, but exists in FE7. And it does make him a much more interesting character. But more importantly, he's a very interesting guy, and thus he goes in good.
Yeah, before I read his supports, I had Geets in inoffensively fine, but he actually has some really good supports. I'm sorry, Goose. He actually has some really interesting supports with Garrett, with Echidna, with Douglas.
Well, his name's Geese, but anyway. He's Geese plural, not Goose singular.
Yes,
but anyway.
I actually like.
No, really
I actually think he's really interesting. I'm putting him in engaging above Zealot. Honestly, above Fur.
I should explain the reason he's not higher in my tier is also kind of personal preference, because I don't want to oversaturate the top tiers. And really good, honestly, probably gets more saturated than it should be. But as far as like writing goes, as Fume points out, he is really good.
Yeah, I'm actually. You know what? I'm doing a very big reassessment. I'm putting him above Saul.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could actually see him in very impactful. Like genuinely, actually, like I genuinely think he has better writing than Roy. Like being perfectly real with you.
You know what? Yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's fucking do it.
Up to you, but like his writing is solid.
It's really good.
These guys are a really good character.
He's a pirate who sucks at being a pirate, but it's like it's done well.
No. No, I mean he's a truly complex character, which in FE6 there are actually not too many of them, honestly.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Klein, my boy, my archer son. He's nice. I like him. He's not as interesting as Clarine, I think, but that's more because he's a lot more straight-laced, which straight-laced can be very interesting. Unfortunately, it's not done.
To begin with.
Yeah, that's fair. I think he's fine. I have him. I'm going to put him in like the bottom part of engaging. I'll put him above Zealot.
Yeah, fair enough. This is going to be a bit challenging because Klein was originally in my tier that was split. And so now I have to decide which of the two he goes in. I really don't want to add another tier to this. Also, I don't think I need one. I like Klein because, again, like I said, I just love that family. Like the Regley family is great. Klein is probably the least interesting of them. Like of the entire family of Penn, Luis, Clarine, Deke, Urk, and Klein.
Well, someone's got to be the serious one.
I'm counting the adopted children. Just not as interesting. Becoming a Truri in general is interesting. I really want to put him in good because I love this family, but like I don't think I can do it. I don't think he's more interesting than the Christmas Cavs to me. But I will put him next to the Christmas Cavs because even though I'm not ordering in the list, it feels better that he should be over here. Also, Bors is going to the end with Ogier. I'm not ordering within the list, but like this pleases me more aesthetically. Also, actually, the hair colors are kind of nice. Let's move on to another Pegasus Knight, who doesn't have to move tiers because she's just okay. She's the boring one. She gets to be the boring middle child. And that's not a joke, actually. It's an archetype. So the White Wings are the original Pegasus Knight trio. They consist of Paula, Est, and Catria. Paula is the oldest. She is very rigorous. She is, she's canonically the strongest. She's the leader of the group, and she is very straight-laced and good at what she does. Then there is the middle child, who is bland, although actually Catria is not bland and is actually quite interesting, not necessarily in a good way, but she is. And then there is the goofy young child. And Shauna definitely fits that mold, and boy, so does Thea. She's the middle child and she exists. Her most interesting relationship is probably with Klein, who hires her and then is nice and not someone who will just murder the conscripted troops, which is probably a good thing for someone who joins your army. Then again, August also is not playable, but August is also ostensibly a good guy, and I don't know about FE5 August. He probably would murder half the army. But anyway, back to Thea. She's fine.
I mean, he sort of does by letting that other guy lead the...
Leaf takes responsibility for that one. They're in this game too. The Pegasus Knights? No. The White Wings are not in this game. I just mentioned them because I mentioned them for context of the Pegasus trio, because the Pegasus trio in this game does, and in FE7, does very, very heavily follow the Arcanea trio without much divergence, honestly. They're definitely different, but they are very similar, deliberately so.
Yeah. I have the in a similar place as well. I'll put her at the top of inoffensively fine. I had her at the bottom of reasonably interesting, but I don't think there's much that justifies that. She is it's not even that she's stable necessarily. She just doesn't have too many interesting character traits. Like, she planned Zealot and Juno's wedding, and that's the most interesting thing about her I could think of.
I'm curious I'm just curious. I'm curious, since you're doing order within tier, I'm curious above Marcus. Definitely above Boars. But that's, again, personal curiosity.
No, yeah, you're right.
I haven't read the supports as recently as you, but I feel like Marcus has a bit more of an edge.
He does. So, next up we have Larum. Or Lalum, depending on how you Romanize it.
I like Larum.
I prefer Larum too.
No, I just meant the character.
Actually. Oh yeah.
I believe she is in Fire Emblem Heroes, so I can tell you what the official Romanization is if you want. I believe it is with an R. I
think you're right. She's okay. She has an interesting dynamic and support with Douglas, her adoptive father, and some of the other Arturians, Percival. Her support, and she has a very funny one with Garrett. Unfortunately, her support with Roy is just her sexually harassing him. So that does kind of take some points away. So I have her at the bottom of reasonably interesting. You know what? No, I'm double thinking. I'm putting her at the top of inoffensively fine. I think that she has one nice support with Douglas, and she has two funny supports with Ogier and Garrett, and that's kind of it. And she has an interesting one with Echidna. Okay, actually, I'll put her back at the bottom of reasonably interesting.
Yeah, I was looking at mine. I was wondering if I was going to get to the answers back to back, because that would be a lot of fun. But no, I don't. But that's okay. Lauren was originally in the split tier, and I'm going to put her in good. I'm going to put her in good and not above average because, I think she's got a lot of sauce to her. I think she's got some really interesting stuff. Definitely the thing with the adoptive father with Douglas is heartwarming and endearing. And just, good combos. So she will go there. And now, I think I've mentioned this before, I really like this unit. And thus, they're going in really good. Love the design, love the introduction, hate that you show up surrounded by several bandits with hand axes with a weapon that weighs you down, and so you're slower. That's game design for you. It is weird that the super buff hero lady has low con, but Fire Emblem is sexist. That's actually not a hot take, that just is. But I like Echidna a lot. Her supports are actually not that interesting, for the most part. It's a lot of hey, let's build a village. Which is fine. But she is the leader of the resistance. That's cool. I also really like the artwork. I think she has a pretty cool, unique design. I have absolutely no idea how old this woman is supposed to be. I think probably like 30 something, honestly. I think 30s. Which has absolutely zero impact on where I'd place her. But that's not true. If you were an old lady in a Fire Emblem game, that's extra points because we just never see that. We'll get back to that too. But yeah, I like Echidna a lot. Oh yes, we will. I like Echidna a lot. She's
shout outs to that one guy who commissions a lot of the Echidna art. You know who you are. I see you. I respect you. Yeah, she's good. I did bring her down in my tier list a bit from where I had originally put her.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Based upon just the fact that a lot of her supports are just, let's build a village, and after her introduction, she disappears. But that's not a unique problem for her, so it feels unfair to judge her exclusively harshly in that respect. So I will put her in engaging. I'll put her above Lou. I'll put her above Saul, right below Clarine. I think that if the problem is that a lot, and this is going to be something that we keep running into, so many of these problems are just inherent to where Fire Emblem was at the time in terms of not letting anybody who wasn't Roy Merlinus fucking talk.
To be fair, though, I do get not doing too many conditional conversations, and I also get if I was going to pick a character to have more lines in this game, it would not be Echidna.
I agree.
Yes, absolutely. Lilina, Marcus, 100%, but Echidna, no. Maybe in the Western Isles, but maybe.
Yeah. So next we have Elfin, who is definitely not Prince Myrthin.
Myrddin, but also never heard of him.
It's two D's and it's a Welsh name, so it would be Myrthin.
Interesting.
But yes, they probably don't have that in Heroes because fuck you.
Well, they have Elfin in Heroes. They don't have Myrddin.
Yeah, and they're different people, so that makes sense.
They do have Ivo and Bridget, though. That must have been a clusterfuck for them meeting Asker.
Yeah, interesting. I think it's really interesting. I think he has a lot of really interesting supports. I think the fact that when you don't have him as your dancer, he actually talks a lot and has some relevant things to say, unlike Larum, brings him up quite a bit. He has an interesting role to play in the story. I feel for him, given some of what affects him still. His support with Douglas Percival reveals that he is actually partially blinded from oh my god, not Zelgius.
There was an attempt on his life.
Rorts
and Arcardo are the names of the villains, but it's
no, not that. No, the fucking Zephiel. I mean, it was on Zephiel's behalf.
Yes.
So I'm putting him as my second S tier.
It's understandable. I remember I was going to say something fun. You were talking about people who do and don't appear as they're speaking, right? I was going to mention my favorite of that is Legault, who shows up even if he's dead. Legault claws his way back from beyond the grave just to tell you a rather pointless bit of exposition. I've mentioned it before. I will probably mention it again in the future. It's really fucking funny. Let's move on. Elfin, where did I put him? I have a feeling I know where I put him. But let's double check. Yeah, I put him. He's really good. He's a really good character. Same reasons Fume said. He's very complex. He's very interesting. Really interesting character. And now let's get back to the dumb idiot in the room, Partray. He's actually also really good. Big dad energy, big mustache energy. I don't know why he's wearing a knockoff version of Sun Wukong's circlet. It's probably one for the ages. This man's dumb as shit, but
that is
he's a family.
Perfectly. It's a headband. It's just a headband. It's a circlet.
It's more of a. It's actually probably an actual piece of armor. It's like a lightweight protector. Yeah. So blows that might crack your skull and may become glancing. They may not if they're aligned really well, but it's a piece of very lightweight armor. The mustache is also a piece of very heavyweight armor. The protection it provides is immaculate. But yeah, no. So Bartray, he's still a big dumb idiot, but now he's a big dumb family man idiot, and that's beautiful. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. I can't really add anything onto that. That's pretty much exactly what I think.
He's not a complicated guy.
Yeah, that's why I've got him at near the bottom of engaging. Probably above Zealot again.
I would definitely say he's way more interesting than Zealot. But again, personals, I'll put him where you want.
You know what? I'll put him next to his daughter just so that he can be with her. Ray. So I initially have
yelling for.
Go ahead.
Which is, by the way, how he. I said he can run around chasing after her, yelling fur, which is how he shows up in. FEC.
Oh, their supports, yes.
No, I mean, like I think also isn't. No, he shows. That's right. He shows up like escorting some green NPCs. It's the way his supports go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Danger support with Pharrell, though.
Yes, very good. So next we have Ray. I initially had Ray quite a bit lower into inoffensively fine, but I was rereading his supports shortly before the stream started, and I actually think he's still my least favorite of the Orphanage Boys, but I think that he does have a fair bit more to him. His conversation with Nime is very interesting. His conversation with Hugh is very funny. And his conversation with Lou is obviously very good. So, yeah, I'm happy to bump Ray up to... I'll bump him up to, like, the middle of engaging to right above Fur. And if you're curious, before he was in it offensively fine, so he's gotten a huge upgrade.
That's so nice of you. Because as a character who exists, he sure does exist. Yeah, I don't really care how interesting he is. I do not care about this creature at all. Yeah, similar to Saul. I know he actually has some stuff going for him, but I don't care because I do not find it compelling enough to ever want to use him. It's just the Ray. Don't do it for me. Now this is a polarizing character.
We are getting close finally to the end of the playables.
Yeah, no, this is a very polarizing character. I think a lot of people really don't like this character and find her really grating. And that is true, but for her support with Roy alone, in the split tier, she is being promoted from above average to good. Because her going off on Roy about taxes is amazing, and I love it. And the rest of the character may be garbage, but that support is phenomenal. Back to you.
Yeah, pretty much. All of her other supports are just her stealing from the other person or trying to figure out a way to steal from them. That's kind of it, but she has a really good voice support, so I put her at the bottom of reasonably interesting.
Kath is polarizing because Kath is annoying, and she runs around stealing your treasure, and just overall being a nuisance. But her Roy support is really good. So honestly, she might not actually be polarizing. It might just be that I personally find her pretty good because of that, and the community in general does not like Kath. That said, she has like 2 alts and heroes, so clearly someone likes her. They did come late though, but that's a whole other thing. Who are we on next? Oh, I see.
Who are we on next? I'm trying to go to the next.
Well, you will be.
Interesting. Yeah. Melody. Woo. If we, as Emmett said, if we were rating by gameplay prowess and usability, functionality, usefulness, she would be in like SSS plus. Melody is by far the best character in the game, and save for Seth in Sacred Stones, is probably the best character in all of GBA Fire Emblem.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
No?
Marcus in FE7 due to availability.
True.
So there's stuff like that. Whereas because FE7 is an easier game, Heath probably reaches the same level of combatability, or a blessed Florina, honestly, even, and who also has high availability. The problem with really ranking anyone after Seth is can anyone basically solo the entire game? No. So at that Melody's great because Melody is an amazing unit who can fight and one round in a game where a lot of units can't, and she can do it reliably.
But no, she's not a one-woman army. You're right. One woman, one wyvern. So,
and also, again, she joins like halfway through.
Yeah. That being said, so on story merits, she's really interesting. She is faced with a situation where she is loyal to a country and a personal retainer to a woman who has chosen, under great duress and with a great deal of angst connected to it, temporarily betray that country in order to save it and everyone else. And she chooses, unlike so many other characters in the series, to stay loyal to... She chooses to find a way to stay loyal to her country through the person of Guinevere and to... while justifying service to her country itself without doing a fucking Reinhardt or Camus sort of, I can't betray my obviously evil country.
I think that's unfair because, let's be clear, Guinevere is the princess and queen, essentially, future queen of Bern. Like, so I think that essentially could turn it into a political power struggle. Whereas, like, Reinhardt, Camus himself, those characters, they don't have a liege on the enemy side of the field, right? Like, they're not.
That's fair.
Yes, I think they're highly problematic for a lot of reasons. I'm generally not a fan of the archetype, but again, to be fair, Guinevere is not just like some friend or ally. Guinevere is like the literal princess.
Yes, who she is also personally sworn to serve. She has all of her supports are really interesting. Her support with Lou and Chad is heartbreaking. She actually still has reasonably interesting support with Ellen. Really nice one with Yoder, obviously with Zeus. I'm putting her also in my truly compelling. Connection to Gale is upsetting, but it's all like as in sad. But I think she's very interesting.
Fast enough, and you won't have to kill them.
Yeah, exactly. Funny, you actually can do there is actually a support with Corel and Zeus, and you can only recruit Corel after the map where Gale is either defeated or avoided. And that support avoids mentioning what happened to Gale.
Interesting. Guinevere was evil?
No, not at all. I'm not sure how you got that.
I mean, in the base Arthurian legend, there's definitely some questionable things that probably are supposed to be promoting a more masculine women are evil message. They definitely, some versions of Arthurian legend paint her as a temptress, but in Fire Emblem, no, Guinevere is pretty good. She's fairly wholesome and, I mean, not uncomplicated because she has thoughts on her brother, but Guinevere is deliberately painted as a very innocent, very good person. Because again, FE6's story is not too much about nuance. It's not painted, like the issue around Bern is very deliberately and emphatically not painted as a political power struggle. So despite what people might claim, like, again, people in the game might claim about Guinevere, it is trying to be very explicit that Guinevere, who you are backing, is the one you're supposed to be backing. So instead, I would actually say it's the opposite. Guinevere is explicitly good because the story needs that to be true. Fume, do you want to add anything, or do you want me to just jump into that list?
I'm done.
All right. Yeah, Melody is really good. I don't have a lot to add. She's a great character. I mean, the fact, it hinges on the fact that anyone who's going to turn traitor, more often than not, well, again, if they're becoming a traitor to join you, the player's army in games like this, typically speaking, are going to have some very interesting and compelling reasoning. Legault in FE7, who betrays the Black Fang, is the same. Like, these characters, super interesting. I don't really have much to add to what Fume said, though, so we are going to move on. I love this next character, and it kind of breaks my heart. He's just not as interesting as I would like. He was originally in the character, again, in the one that was split, and because it was split, I am going to put him in good and not above average, because I do think he's good. I like Percival, I like his supports, I like the complexity of Etruria, but I don't think he's on the same level as those other characters and really good, and thus he was only good.
Yeah. I would say pretty much the same. I love him so much, he is my personal favorite character in the game. Actually, no, that's not true. Stealthbone is, but he is one of them. But if I look at his... Melody is very close. it's if you really look at what his supports are, there's not too much about them. Most of the time, he is the straight man or the sounding board to somebody else's part of the discussion, and
No,
there's nothing
100%.
wrong with that. But it also doesn't mean he gets as much time to shine himself. His most interesting part is that he is again a Camus who is like, actually, no, this fucking sucks. Why are we doing this? I'm going to join these other guys. And
Well, no, to be fair, again, that's also not really fair because he becomes a Camus for the same reason Melody becomes a Camus, which is that either Laura or just Elfin goes up to him and says, "Yo, but like, what if you sided with the prince?" And he's like, "The prince is alive," and they're like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Say no more, fam," and then joins. So he's also joining his liege. He's not really just becoming a straight up Camus. Also, wow, this game has instances of that's kind of insane.
Had what?
I said this game has 2 instances of that. That's kind of insane.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put him at the top of. I'm probably being a little too generous, but I am gonna put him like in the upper end. No, I can't justify it. I'm putting him above. I'll put him above Sin. In which I'm probably moving Ellen up a little bit to here. Yeah, I'm putting him above Sin. So Cecilia, she's
rest in peace, my girl.
Sorry,
I said rest in peace, my girl. I'll get to this when I do my list, so just go.
I think she's a little more interesting than Percival, but unfortunately, there's still not as much there as I would really like, given how cool she should be. So I'm just going to put her above Shauna and kind of leave that. I don't think there's much there. She has an interesting role in the backstory of the game and serves an interesting role in the scenes in the story where she shows up. And then as a support person, like when doing supports, she's kind of blank.
Also, she's a marriage partner for Roy.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, probably not the largest age gap in Fire Emblem because I think she's actually supposed to be more in like her 20s or something, or maybe her 30s. Anyway, the point is, Echidna. I said rip earlier because my girl was done dirty. I like Echidna. Cecilia. Well, Echidna was also done dirty because screen time and such, but Cecilia especially was done really dirty. I want to like Cecilia. I do like Cecilia. But as far as like being a little more objective, it's not compelling. She was originally in the split tier also, but I'm not going to put her in good. I'm just going to put her in above average because, I like her. I want to like her more. The game is not really helping with that. So rest in peace. I wish you were just better. Let's move on to a character that a lot of people hate, but I think is great. I love Sophia. She's funny. I love Sophia's writing. Her supports as a character, like, super fascinating. I like Sophia a lot. I know there are many people who don't because of gameplay. We mentioned that there was a definitive worst character in the game. This is it. There was absolutely zero. There's zero discussion about this. This character is the worst unit in Fire Emblem 6. So imagine you have the accuracy problems of an axe fighter, and you can't hit anything. But imagine you also have the durability problems of a mage, so you can't take a hit. At least an axe bro can take like 2 hits. Also imagine you join at level 1 as an unpromoted unit in the middle of the game, unlike the axe units who join in the beginning. So you have basically the worst possible stat spread. You have you can't just promote easily to fix it. You just have 0. You have 1 to 2 range. That is your one advantage. You have 1 to 2 range, and you can pick your battles. So training her is possible. It's really hard. Also, Ray joins earlier. You also get another unit that joins later. This unit has like 0 gameplay functionality. This unit is just so bad. But that's okay because they're really fun to use because of it. Like this unit is just actually awful. I did some arena grinding with Sophia once. So I save scummed in the arena, and oh my god, she was still terrible. Like, I leveled her up, promoted her, still terrible. Those units awful. But that's not why we're here. We're here for tier lists, and I like Sophia a lot as a character. And thus, she would be really good. And now I will turn it over to you, because I don't really have that much more to say.
I mean, gameplay-wise, we've covered all of it. She is it possible she's the worst character in GBA Fire Emblem?
In GBA Fire Emblem? Ooh. I don't know, because archers in games other than FE6 are pretty, like, Rebecca and Will are pretty awful, and at least Sophia does have 1 to 2 range and staff utility if you bother to grind it out. Bartray is possibly,
oh my god, yeah, Bartray
and FE7 Bartray is really bad. I don't know if he's worse than Sophia, because again, Rebecca and Will and Bartray also joined much earlier, and also they're in chapters where, you know what? No, Will, maybe not. Rebecca is in the chapter where she's force deployed and therefore can contribute. Same with Bartray. Will is not. So Will, he joins, but same as Sophia, not counting that. So Will, but again, Lin mode exists. Let's see, who else is in the running? She's the worst in FE6. So that's only FE7 and 8. 8 is just an easier game, so I don't think anyone in that... Oh, wait, hang on. No, I was going to say Null, but Summoner. So no one in FE8. So it has to be someone in FE7. I'll think about that while you rank her.
You've said everything I thought. She has very interesting conversations. Serves a very interesting role, like, in the setting. Unfortunately, she doesn't really get the chance to serve any interesting role in the story because she can die and therefore can't appear. But trying to separate that from everything else, she's good. Not gameplay-wise.
I would also say the thing about not appearing in the story is, bad, but also you have to consider that every single character shares that flaw, so it kind of zeroes.
I agree. That's why I said that earlier.
Yeah, also thinking on FE7, I think you are correct. I think Sophia might be just the worst unit in the GBA games. Honestly, she's probably in the running for the worst unit in the series. There's definitely others, so she might only be bottom 5, but yeah, Sophia is...
So, yes. Next we have Irene. Part of what makes Astolfo such a great character, but also interesting in her own right. I initially had her in S tier, and I think that was a little generous, if only because besides her supports with Astolfo and Phi, she doesn't have as much, really meaty things to do, support-wise. So I'm going to put her near the top of impactful. Probably probably above Sophia, but no higher.
That is generous of you, ish. This is another
one. You know what? No, wait. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I don't think I can justify that now that I think of it. I will put her in engaging. I'll put her above, right below Saul. Saul has become like my measuring point for engaging.
Honestly, if that works, go for it. Yeah, but again, that's personal. Sophia has great design, or Green. They both do, honestly, actually. I think are designed very well. Showing a lot of skin in the desert. You don't want to do that, by the way. It will hurt. Yeah, so Green was another one who I think was originally split tier. I will put her in good. I do think she's good. She's fine. But yeah, I don't personally love her that much. I don't. Yeah, she's good.
It's interesting because we very rarely get the chance to see characters who are parents with dead children, or departed or estranged children. It's so often the other way around, and it's just interesting that we are given the chance to experience that. It doesn't come up often enough. Well, I'm not saying it needs to come up all the time. It doesn't.
I think it only comes up in her support with Astolfo, to be honest.
Astolfo, Phi, and Sophia.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it's an interesting subversion / difference compared to the usual for the series, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. So no, 100%. It's just I could see putting her in really good. I think I'm just leave her in good, again, for purely personal reasons, because I haven't brushed up on her lore recently myself. If I had, I might feel strongly about her. Typically between her and Klein, I prefer to use, like, this is again back to gameplay, and this is about why I'm not as familiar with her, is I tend to use Klein because he joins a bit sooner with A rank foes, and so it's easier to get him to S rank for Murglace, which you do want. And otherwise I just don't slot archers in too often. Or if I'm being absolutely insane, I will use Sue or Shin, who are really good units, but oh my god, Sakai never go there. So let's move on instead to Garrett. Because I like Garrett, and I'm going to put Garrett in really good. Is he a great unit? Not necessarily. Okay, well, now I have to fix the tier list because it's undocking. So we're just going to undock that and fix it. 'Cause things got too large. That's okay. Yeah. So, Fume, I will say, okay, the Monopoly list is showing. And I'm going to have to fix a no BS. I'll do that while you're placing Garrett. But I like Garrett. He's really interesting. His support with Alina is very interesting in the same way as Kath's, where it's like, Alina's like, stop. And he's like, yo, but what else can we do? We can't starve. We don't want to starve. So I just find him an interesting guy. And pretty unique. Again, people who were pillaging villages don't. And that is compelling to me. So I will fix this while you chat about Garrett. Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett's, I think, actually really interesting. He talks a lot about how, the circumstances that make him be a bandit and how he doesn't want to be one anymore, while also not really losing a lot of the edge that drove him thus. He's got a good recruits conversation with Selena. He's got a funny support line with Lauren that actually winds up, being nice at the end. I like it. I did not expect that, and I actually had him a lot lower before I reread his support. So I'm going to put him at the kind of in the middle of my third highest tier. I'll put him above. I want to keep the Orphanage Boys together, so I will put him above. I'll put him above Fur.
Yeah, no, he's really good. Like I said, I'm a fan of this guy.
Fi is very good. Fi is very good. I think that she is a very good, like, the GBA, like, between her and Myrrh in Sacred Stones represent the, young girl but who's actually a really old dragon. Archetype in Fire Emblem very differently, but they both do it well in different ways. And with
Nils too.
Oh yeah, Nini and Nils too. Yeah, well, although I wouldn't call Nini a young girl, but yes.
She looks like 14, 15. Which again, to be clear, is like the age that the entire cast is. So like Elliewood and Lynn and Hecht, who looks way older but is also that age, like all look around that age.
Fine. So anyways, the GBA dragon, like, dragons as girls and Nils do, are all interesting for different reasons. And Fi, they emphasize the fact that she is literally a child, almost a baby, in a very interesting way by consistently giving her opportunities to showcase unfamiliarity with the world contrasted against her incredible age already and power. All of her supports are interesting. Her supports with Sophia and Irene are heartbreaking. Her support with Nime is very sweet and is one of the few times Nime is genuinely, nice to someone. I'm really tempted to put her in my top tier. I'm going to put her at the top of my second tier for now. And she has continued story relevance.
Well, you are in luck then, because I am putting Fa in my top tier. Yeah, that was great. I like Fa a lot. Do they all sleep like Tiki? No. Tiki sleeps for some very complex lore reasons that get explained later multiple times in different ways. It's a whole thing that I really don't feel like getting into right now, which is shocking for me, but I just really don't feel like getting into the whole Tiki thing. No, they don't, or at least not that we know of. Fa's name is not actually Fa. She mentions, I can't remember in one of her supports, but also then she says it in Heroes. Which is
her support with oh God,
is it Gren?
What?
Is it a Gren? I don't think it's Sophia.
no, it's with a man. It's I think it's
Anyway, Fa basically says her name is not Fa, but her name is actually a lot longer and just completely unpronounceable by humans, which is really funny because it's also, I think, one of the only times we get the fact that there's a separate dragon language.
Elfin. It's with Elfin.
Elfin. Interesting. Yeah, I think this is basically the only time we get the fact there's a separate dragon language. I don't know if it's mentioned again, but yeah, apparently there totally is one because Fa's name is not that. Next up, oh yeah, this guy. Let's see where. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he's above average. He's fine. I do not care about Hugh. I mean, he's like, again, I know Fume is probably going to be going to find him more interesting. For me personally, don't find him that interesting. Don't care about him that much. But I do acknowledge, and I know that some stuff, and so he is above okay, and he certainly does more than exist, and thus he is above average.
What did you say? You acknowledge what?
I acknowledge that he's got some stuff, and thus he is above okay, and he definitely exists, and therefore he is above average.
Yeah, that's fair. And you are correct. I am putting him slightly higher. I think that his supports are either all funny or are all interesting, mostly funny, but sometimes a bit of both. And his connection to existing characters is interesting. If always going to make me mad because it requires Knos to suddenly die in a snowstorm. And I like him, but also there's not too much to him. I initially had him in engaging, but I would probably put him. I think I'll put him at the top of reasoning.
Your list also might need some reorganizing in your OBS because now that it has gotten larger, it is not all visible. I had to resize mine a couple times, so while I'm talking, you might want to do that next time. But I would just do the next character and then resize it while I'm doing mine. Would be my recommendation.
Well, I'm already done.
Well, you did Hugh, but I did Hugh, so you get to do whoever's next.
I know, but I mean, like, I'm already done resizing. If who is related to Lin Fi?
Lin, no. So
Sue.
No, because Wrath also has green hair. So it's definitely, so Wrath Lin is a potential pairing. But Sue being Sue has absolutely no. They were very careful to not at all hint who Lin gets paired up with.
Which,
spoiler alert, or actually plot twist, it's Mark. But joking aside, yeah, no, Wrath, her father, has green hair, so there's no.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's definitely some resemblance, but again, Lin is part Sakaean anyway, and so that's probably more what it is than anything else. Yeah, because Lin's clothing, for example, is very similar, but that's because she's of the same nationality, not because of any relationship.
Yeah. Zeke is reasonably interesting. He's and is literally going there. I think I'll put him right above Lot. I think that he obviously does not have much sauce to him as Melody, but there's still some fun moments. He has a couple of fun supports. Interestingly, his support with Melody is not actually that interesting, but most of the rest have meat to them. I like him, but there's not too.
Yes, reasonably being the key word, because Zeus is like, he's fine. He was in my tier that got split, and so for now, I'll put him in above average. I don't think he's good. Like, he's fine. I don't hate him, but he just doesn't do it for me. Like, Melody is just much more interesting as a character, and Zeus just doesn't have that. Now, Douglas, though, where did I put Douglas, actually? Yeah, that makes sense. Douglas is kind of the same in the split tier, but I'm going to put him in the good one, the above average one, because Douglas a bit more. as one of the three Etrurian generals, he's pretty interesting. Um, Pretty typical, like Camus-esque, but not really, because he does switch, but only after it's resolved. He definitely reminds me of Xavier, and that's not a good thing, but he's much less annoying to recruit, fortunately. Yeah, overall, pretty cool design. I just like the three Etrurian generals, but the fact of the matter is they're just sadly not necessarily that interesting in terms of character. I really wish all three of them were just more interesting than they were, because on a personal level, I like them a lot. But even for a tier list like this, where I am taking into account bias, I cannot put them that highly. That's all, Fume. So if you want to go. Fume, can you hear me?
Huh? Huh. Fuck. Oh, sorry. God, I think I dozed off.
I was wondering what happened, but I'm glad it's.
oh God, it's 2:30.
Yeah. I know it's super late for you. Do you want to just try to power through the rest of this, or do you got to call it a day?
No. Okay. No. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Again, I think let's see who. I'll check. Let me check.
We're almost done with the playables, and the rest, while interesting, do not need too much discussion. Douglas, I think, is the most.
There's like maybe 4 characters I think we'll actually talk about a lot, and I think
Douglas is the most interesting of the Etrurian generals, which is less impressive than it sounds like in hindsight. He has some really interesting supports and plays a pretty prominent role in the story. I like him. I'm putting him at the bottom of the very impactful. Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is one of the ones that's actually going to be a little bit longer.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Like, we both like her,
yeah, that's true.
And we both like her. This is Nime. Nime is going into truly compelling for me. I think she's not only some of this is biased because she is just a cool old lady, which she's like basically the only example of that in the entire series so far. And some of that novelty is itself, making me want to say this response. But overall, like, even ignoring that, she shows up in an interesting way in the story. All of her conversations are super fun, whether they're funny or like make you want to think about the nature of either of those characters. And she just has such incredible presence. And I really don't have any complaints about how she exists or is presented. Like, she's a little mean for my tastes, but that's like just in terms of the kind of people I would want to associate with as a character. That's extremely well represented. She's like A+. I do think I'm leaving her here within S tier because I just like the other people so much, but I think that she is very, very high.
Yeah. I actually don't think she's mean. I think she's more dry than mean. But yeah, no, Nime, easy S tier. Nime is great for all the reasons Fume touched upon. She is very funny, very interesting character. Interesting, just like much like Gonzalez, but for a different way. His was class. Nime, you see plenty of druids, but yeah, you don't see a lot of playable old women characters. And it's not that alone. Like, as you mentioned, her writing, like when she shows up and is kind of like trolling the Ilian generals, or when her supports, they're all just really good. And so I don't really feel like harping on about it, but yeah, S tier, great. Now we come to our friend Diane, and unfortunately he's like fine. I'll put him in good. I think he is good. I'm gonna have to resize this again, and that frustrates me because I have too many tiers. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. But yeah, Diane's good. He's fine. I don't like him. Don't really like him that much. Again, the Kutola, especially the Sakaans, are very interesting, but he does not make it up to really good for me.
Yeah. Dian he's okay. His supports with Sue and Shin, ironically enough, are not actually that well. No, Sue is okay. Shin's is not that interesting for me. He has a really good one with Rutger though, and I think Carell, and I enjoy both of those. Let me um not entirely. Oh, I mean, he has a funny one with Gonzalez. He actually has a really interesting one with Yoda. I was talking about that with you yesterday. He does not have one with Carell. My apologies. Yeah, he's fine. He's not like. I think he's probably the least interesting of like the older characters in the game. No, that's not true, Marcus. I'm sorry. I'll put him at the like in reasonably interesting. I'll put him above. I'll put him above Sue, below Lot. Juno, I have reassessed her a little bit, thinking about her more over the course of this conversation. I originally had her just in inoffensively fine. I think well, first off, now that I'm looking at things, I think that Zealot probably is not above these guys, so I'm gonna move him to I'm gonna move Zealot down to below. Honestly, I think I'm moving him to below Ellen. And then Juno, I think, can take his place. Maybe not take his place, but I think Juno can be like in upper, reasonably interesting. Well, first off, Zeus actually, yeah. Now on second thought, he can go back down a little bit to probably right above Zealot, who I'm going to slide a little further to. Yeah, here, that's fine. No, I think he was about Gonzalez, but what are we talking about? Yeah, Juno is interesting. We don't get too many like she's not that much older because she's still within reasonable age of her sisters, but she is a little bit older than the average Fire Emblem cast age pre like Three Houses, and she is an act like a mom. So there's some interesting things
Well,
there.
soon to be mom, technically speaking, I believe, but
Nope,
yeah.
nope. She has given birth, and the baby is with a family friend.
Oh, that's right. Couldn't remember. Yeah.
I would hope.
Louise who is fighting while pregnant, though.
Yes, that is very funny. She's fine. She doesn't really have any like standout interesting conversations, which is making me want to slide her down to probably right above Cecilia. But she's not got any like really negative elements to them, which is not that grounding of an endorsement. All right, your turn.
Yeah, honestly, Juno is probably basically the same as Cecilia. I really actually I want to like her more because she's a very interesting character conceptually, and unfortunately, she just doesn't have it. She just does not have enough going for her to be more than just interesting conceptually, and thus she gets on the exact same tier as Cecilia. Really, rip. Wish you guys were more interesting. Yoder. Oh boy. Where did I put Yoder? Yeah, that makes sense. Yoder is really good. He's super interesting. He's doing a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot is implied. I actually wish we got more of Yoder. Like, I wish we got more, not more of necessarily fighting while pregnant. Yeah, Louise explicitly knows that she is with a child in FE7. But let's move on to that. Yeah, no, Yoder, I just really wish, because they mentioned how he's like doing a lot behind the scenes with the Elaminian Church to basically help influence the war in Roy's favor, which is really interesting. And I wish we got more of it. We don't, sadly. But even outside of that, just very interesting character. His fling with Nime when he's legendary, I would have put him high up for that alone because that's amazing. Also, Yeah, all around, this man interests me. He's not a favorite. I personally don't necessarily love him that much, but I do, and he is interesting, and thus here we are, and I'll just stop now.
Yeah. I largely agree. The one thing is that I do like he has some very, very, very nice supports. And the funny with Saul. I do the like Nime, the fact that he and Nime like used to be in a relationship is so fucking funny because I mentioned this to you before, but I just can't help but imagine like while they're having sex, like fucking Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha lasers with like Nime's being like dark purple and like Yoda's being like bright white or yellow. It's very funny to me. I initially had him in the top tier. I think that is probably a little too much. I'll put him in the middle of the second highest tier, probably right above the Geezer. And then I get to introduce the final character, Corel. So Corel is a lot more interesting based upon what you know from the game that came after. Slash before.
No.
With
okay, to be fair, that actually is canonical to it.
It is.
How he was before is mentioned, but seeing it firsthand does make the impact significant.
I agree.
Also, I'll talk about this, but go ahead.
That being said, I agree with you that they do talk about it. That being said, I actually really do like him. I think he has some really good conversations, especially those that emphasize what he used to be, although they don't really do that enough for my taste. I had him initially in my highest tier. I really want to put him there just because like he's a cool, somewhat older guy and especially again that the sword demon became the sword saint because he realized the cost of his bloodlust in pursuit of power and mastery. But I don't think I can justify that. I think that I have to be more reasonable and think about probably still engaging, probably right below.
Well, this is another character that fortunately you don't have to worry about putting in the top tier because I'm going to put it in the top tier. Corel is really good. I really like the character. I like his supports with Bartray and Fur. They're both excellent. And also, very good. Yeah. And also his time. And this is again going to FE7. Something he probably did deliberately is Corel in FE7 has a support with Guy. And in his support, Guy says that Corel should train him so that he will have a worthy opponent because he knows he's not there yet. And Corel does, and he also tells him that he has to stop because if he trained him anymore, he'd kill him. Because that's FE7 Corel in a nutshell. And also he says, do not come find me for your promised duel in a year. And Guy basically goes, no, I'm still going to do it then. What makes this interesting is that Guy's title in FE7 is Sword Saint, which is the exact same title that Corel has in FE6, which is definitely deliberate. Like, there's no way that's not deliberate. So I definitely think the implication is supposed to be that Corel does kill Guy and essentially takes his title, whether because he takes it for himself or more likely because of who he is at the time other people give it to him, right? Like if you defeat the strongest guy known as the Sword Saint, then you stands to reason you are now the Sword Saint. And that would also explain why he feels guilt about it. And they're really just definitely reading into it a bit, but even reading into it, that's just a little bit of extra stuff. But again, for everything Fume said, his supports are just phenomenal. Just the way he expresses remorse and also cautions Fur against like what strength means. It's all just really, really good. And thus he's there. And now
you know what? I'm gonna nudge him up one. You have reminded
I'm curious
me.
what of the many things I said influenced.
You just reminded me that I wasn't I mean, part of it is also I'm very tired. You reminded me that I probably wasn't giving enough consideration to the conversations he had had in FE7 with respect to what they say about him in FE6. That being said, I know that those conversations aren't in FE6, so this is a little bit of a cheat because they're not in that game itself. They're in like Heroes or other stuff. But it's, I think, still of interest still to see, that XYZ program. I'm so silly of it.
Yeah.
You can see you can see it more. I was able to see it more based on what you said. Let's just leave it at that. So we're on the non-playable characters here. I stopped at Ithun.
Well, yeah, honestly, same. Actually, that's exactly where I stopped. I don't need to rank. I don't need to rank Sandima from FE4 again. Although I think of the ones unranked, Sagune is really interesting, but not worth talking about. And Henning almost went in his own personal hell. But again, that's gameplay only. So let's start off with Narcian, who does what he does really well, and I don't really care about him otherwise. Thus, he goes in good, because I don't really feel like making above average larger. Honestly, he probably is there. Yeah. No, Narcian is basically perfect at what he does. He's a villain, he's evil, he laughs maniacally, he doesn't want to lose his status and power because he's a greedy little bitch, and he performs it he just performs admirably. He's good. He's very good at what he does. And there's not much to say about him because there's just isn't.
So I had a joke tier for just Narcian. I'm not going to make that, but you basically have hit everything on the head. He is inoffensively fine in that he has a specific job to fulfill in the story, and he does it well. And so I shall put him...
more than inoffensively fine. I think he's actively good at doing one very niche job.
Yeah, okay. I'll put him at the bottom of the...
How you choose to rank that is up to you. I just think he's...
It's perfectly competent.
Yeah.
Gale, I initially had him in has potential but not really used, but I'll be honest, and maybe it's just because I'm starting to die in my chair, that I think he, based upon the description of the room and which the photographs were exposed and such, and I lost my train of thought, but
yeah, I was kind of wondering why you were talking about this, to be honest.
About what?
Photographs.
What? Did I talk about photographs?
I may have misheard, but yeah, possibly.
He does his role perfectly fine in like a Camus with a personal connection to a member of your army. That's all I have to say about it. He's fine. I'm putting him slightly below Narcian because Narcian is fine.
Yeah. Honestly, I have a very similar take as you. Gale, I originally had him in okay, and I'm going to leave him in okay because, yeah, he's fine. He's got a little bit of intrigue, Wyvern general, but it's not really about Gale. It's about, here's a character who hasn't really shown up in the story much, and we need to make him feel like both compelling and dangerous. And so it's kind of like clickbait almost. It's like we got to quickly hype this guy up. But yeah, honestly, Gale could have actually been really interesting, but he's not. And thus, he will remain there, and we will move on to Hector. And now we may finally see what my tiers are. Hector is going in the bottom tier, but it's not a bad. It's actually just because he's dead. So rest in peace, Hector. If this is in terms of character, you're definitely higher up. But yeah, sadly, in this game, you die a tragic death. And so there you are.
That's what you get for claiming our mods.
True, you were warned.
That's not much. Hector's a great character in his game, and he serves the function of dying to raise the stakes here, and that is what he does. And
I mean, to be fair, also this is his original game, strictly speaking.
Yeah. And in that respect, he is perfectly fine. I am putting him above Merlinus because fuck Merlinus, but you know what? I'll just put him at the front. Sure. Like, he does his role. He dies. He dies for our sins / our game, our story. So next we have Brunya. She's fine.
Oh my god, are they arranged like this because of? Oh my god, they are. So the reason few mentioned earlier characters are ranked in terms of when they join you. That is actually still the case because right now the characters are going in order of when they join you in the trial maps and how many trial maps you have to clear to get them.
No, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, no, that's why these specific enemies are the way they are, and then it goes to the villains who aren't playable in trial maps. Yeah. No, I was looking at the list and I was like, oh my god. So that's funny. I thought I'd share that tidbit with you, and yeah.
Brunya is fine. She's just she's another one of the Ishtar style, female lady mages who are sad they're fighting the bad guy, but not going to do anything different about it. Although for her, she's kind of in love with Zephiel, so I guess I don't know.
I don't think she's sad about it. Like Brunya's a soldier through and through. Like
okay, that's true. She's not like sad about it, but it's presented as sad.
She's more just sad she didn't get to die with Zephiel. That's what I'm sad about.
That's true. Okay, fine. That being said, I just don't think she's very interesting because that is not a character type I find particularly interesting. She executes that role perfectly competently, and so I shall give her inoffensively fine, even though I personally would put her in the last tier if I was thinking about how much of an impact she had. Because it doesn't really feel like her doing this doesn't feel like it makes any special sense within the story. It just feels like they're ticking the box.
Well, I mean, again, like I actually don't have her that high in my own list. I just will say that, like, she is. Well, actually, yeah. Let's talk about my list. I want to like Brunya more because I think she could be interesting, but much like Cecilia before and Percival before her, she is not. And yeah, I think again she's been painted pretty clearly as the soldier. Like, she's a soldier who does her job, and I really wish there was more to it. The game hints at it, but not enough. And thus I'm just going to put her next to Narshan because that above average. Okay, I'll put her above average and I'll read. That's really where she should go. That annoys me greatly. This disgusts me. But I don't really want to put her in good because I don't think she should be in good. But let's talk about our next character instead. Because our next character is also one of my joke tiers. And that's Eliwood here. So Eliwood is not a character I find particularly interesting. However, he is notable for memes. And thus for memes, I shall put him here. And I will tell you what the list is called in a second.
I think I already know.
There we go.
Yep, I knew it.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on. There's only one. There we go. Eliwood is the one Fire Emblem dad who gets to live, and for that meme, is he better than all these characters in good? Nah, probably not. But is he like the one FE dad who doesn't die? Hell yeah, he is, brother. And thus, we have our second joke list here with Eliwood. And that's all I have to say about him, because there's not much to say.
Yeah. And in that respect, I agree. He's perfectly fine at what he does. And there's nothing wrong with that. It also means there's nothing else to him. Moving on, we have the man Murdoch. I like him. I think that he's not especially interesting, but he is cool. That being said,
he's definitely... I was going to say the hard thing is he's definitely better at FE7, which kind of feels unfair to count for him.
Yeah. So I am unfortunately going to put him in inoffensively fine at this point. He performs his role of the competent enemy general perfectly well and perfectly legitimately, and I am getting too sleepy to think of a better reasoning. I will put him above Merlinus because fuck you, Merlinus.
Yeah, honestly, I originally had him a lot. I actually had him all. But then as I realized, I was like, actually, that's really because of he's great in FE7, but in FE6, he's not. He's either good or just above average. Honestly, he just really doesn't do much. So I am just going to put him in above average because, like, quite frankly, yeah, he just doesn't do much. He's great at what he does. Nah, it feels mean. I'll put him in. Yeah, all right, I'll leave him above average. Again, I like Murdoch a lot, but a lot of it. So expect to see him higher on an FE7 tier list. And now we get to my final joke tier, Zephiel. Now, why is Zephiel in this tier, you may ask? Well, I will tell you as I type out this name.
Yeah?
And that is why Zephiel is here, because, maybe he had a point. Like, I'm just saying, like, maybe Zephiel had a point. what if Faye was, like, I think Faye is probably better than several are currently elected world leaders and unelected world leaders. And I would gladly put Faye in charge of some things. Or a lot of things. I would put Faye in charge of a lot of things. I think it would go great. So, yeah. Zephiel was right.
Yes. Quickly, trial maps are like non-story challenge maps where you have to complete specific objectives, kill specific enemies, etc. That you can play, and you unlock more the more times you beat the game, and the more difficulties. And you also unlock special characters that you can use, who are mostly the antagonists from the game that you have access.
And you unlock them based on how many times you've beaten the game, up till 9. I think you unlocked the last one at like 9 times. And also, I should say that of them, only really the last 2, so only Zephiel and Guinevere, are actually that unique. So Zephiel, I think he actually does get all of his gear. So he starts in his like unique king class, and I believe he does have X-Ax in his inventory. And so yeah, he's just a unique character. And Guinevere is a sage, but she can also use light magic. And I believe they just give her double S ranks in Anima and Light, which is interesting. And yeah, it makes her unique.
Yeah. So Zephiel is
he's good.
Yep, he's a good villain. I'm gonna just thought him and reasonably interested and then start thinking about bed.
Also, he has some banger cipher art.
And awesome music.
Yeah.
I'll put him at the top of reasonably interesting. Guinevere is amazing. Excellent character. Really like her. Really think that the story is almost as much hers as it is Roy's, if not more so. And I am also grateful that she means I don't get to look at Merlinus for some of the time once she joins the party. I will put her. I'll be generous. I'll put her at the bottom of my S tier. I think that it is very much her story, her development, her journey, as well as Roy's.
That is very generous of you. Not because I don't like Guinevere. Actually, I think she is really good. That is where she's going in my tier, the really good tier. But I wouldn't put her that high. I like her a lot. I think she's interesting. I think personal struggles are deeply interesting. And as such, she's a great character. I don't necessarily have a lot of personal, but I do think she's very well written. But there are definitely some flaws and holes in it. So I'm still going to leave her in really good. But I definitely think she's one of the ones like not as high on if I was going to order them. But she's great.
Yep. Almost done.
And we have 2 more. And yeah, there's fortunately not much to say about our friend John here. I think the fact that he's John Fire Dragon is very fun. Like really funny. I am going to put him in good because I actually think he's good. He does what he's supposed to do and it is an exposition. And I think they handled it very poorly. Also, he is just a generic, like he's supposed to be a boss, but he's really not. He's just another generic.
He's so fucking weak,
which is so stupid. Yeah, well, I mean, it's more just like the end of the game is not the balancing is all over the place and not very well done. But that's a completely different issue. But like, I think he does a very good job of like the way he's callous and kind of removed as like he actually feels, and this is something that like games sometimes like do, and if like how do you make like a dragon feel like different? And I think they do that really well with John. I think like he feels like yeah, this is like what a somewhat of a different species would feel like and how they would act. And I actually really like that. So again, he's still pretty weak overall, but because things he does well, he well, and he's effective at what he's supposed to be doing. Kind of like Narcian, I'm putting him in.
I don't know if I agree because I like the text, the exposition dump feels like it's just not like that is still not necessarily a reflection of his character, but it's a reflection of the writing connected to him. Like that's
Yeah,
not
no,
it's not good writing.
No, the exposition dump is terrible, but he does have his personality within that and the way he responds. Like, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at how does he respond to Roy? What kind of tone of voice does he use? Like, how does he speak to Roy? How does he present the story? Because he has a clear bias in the way he presents his own narrative. And all of that is well done. Yeah, the exposition dump itself is a whole chapter of it is fucking ass.
Yeah. All right.
But you can look into it. There are ways to read into it.
That's fair. I'll put him. You know what? At this point, Merlinus just goes down here. Because fuck you.
Yeah. No, I mean, because like the fact of the matter is, as I said, like he definitely has a way to talk to Roy.
Yeah. Last we have Idun, depending on who you talk to.
Me, because I can't be bothered.
She's okay. Like all of the stuff about her is just kind of really shoehorned in at the end, and you don't really get any hints before that. But she does appear a few times, and you can tell that she's like going to be a problem. And it is interesting that with her they kind of subvert the whole. They do play with a lot of the series tropes with her, but I don't know if that by itself is strong writing. So I will put her. I'll put her in reasonably interesting above. I'll put her below Alan and Lance. Or no. Yeah. No. I'll put her above Gonzalez, who I'm sorry to say, I'm going to move him to the bottom of the tier. All right. Share your thoughts, and then I'm going to go bad.
Yeah, so counterpoint, end credit scene. Bam, really good.
It's very good.
A lot of personal bias. I like Idun a lot. Her end credit scene with Faye is adorable. And I just like that kind of I like that kind of tragic backstory. I just again have a lot of personal life for it. So a lot of this is personal bias, but I do think she's good. You are definitely correct that none of this comes about until like
Jan's chapter.
Yeah, like it's literally the last chapter of the game, and then suddenly you're like, by the way, you're curious about that mysterious girl who showed up a couple times? Well, have I got a story for you? And I mean a story. Like this chapter is just going to take a long time, man. So much exposition, but it is an interesting story. Credit where credit's due. It's interesting, and the true good ending adds to it. I think without the true good ending, honestly, Idun would actually be a lot lower because exposition dump. But I think that final scene, as well as what Roy feels when he uses the binding, is a scene that he feels Hartmut's memories, essentially. And I think those two scenes combined bring enough like life to the story that it feels good, that it feels alive, and that it really makes it more than just two-dimensional. And so because of that, I will put her there. Yeah, it's an end credit scene ending. So if you do the best ending, essentially Idun sort of returns with you, and she returns to Arcadia with Faye, and
Roy.
an apple falls on her head, and Roy goes to Foray.
Roy is the one who brings her.
Yeah. Basically, and then she basically starts to gain her. And also there's this sort of hint that maybe Hartmut or someone is watching over her. Maybe she feels like there's this gust of warm wind that stirs something within her. that reminds her that she doesn't know it, but it's the scene that harkens earlier to something Hartmut felt. So it's a very nice scene, but again, it's only a scene, so that's why she's not in like S or anything. But I do like her, and I think it's well done as much as it can be, because that is.
You're cutting out all the fucking time. I can't hear you.
I'm just speaking too fast, and I apologize. But basically, I was just saying, I think the end credit scene is done very well, and that's probably why she's so high, because the story alone does feel flat without any of the embellishments that are from mostly just that scene. And that's it, because I'm not ranking Wurtz or Cart.
Yes, makes sense. So, this is the list, everyone. I'm sorry that I can't really dissect it more. We will talk more about it tomorrow, but
I mean, it's fine. I think we said mostly what we
well,
wanted.
please send me a screenshot of it so that I can pass it to like Mando and such, because he has not been able to.
Sure.
All right. Well, this is the this is the this is the this is
Good night.
uh